Let's get it, 580 Sports Talk coming at you on a Monday. Hi, hello, how the heck are you? Hope you all had an outstanding weekend and grateful that you are along with us today, joining us on another edition of 580 Sports Talk on the slowest sports week of the year, All-Star Week in the major leagues. We are still going to bring you some great content. We've got lots to talk about. Jam-packed Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk. I'm Dan Lucero. Brendan Dworzinski is alongside Trenton Kraxner across the glass, our producer engineer. He has returned safely from the Great White North after bearing witness is what I'm looking for. Bearing witness to maybe the greatest Canadian Football League game of all time. And that's actually not hyperbole. You saw a banger up in Winnipeg, Trenton.
41-37. The Blue Bombers scored a late touchdown to win at home against the Calgary Stampeders. I think the first Calgary had like 500 total yards of offense, but they threw a pick six and lost another fumble and threw another interception. Then like Winnipeg had like 400 total yards of offense, but they had like 3 turnovers as well. So it was just completely chaotic for 60 minutes.
I mean this in a complimentary way. It was the most 2016 Big 12 Canadian football game I've ever seen.
And to top it all off, the 16-minute halftime was filled with 11 minutes of people playing dodgeball all across the field for 11 minutes.
That's awesome. That's a great halftime show.
Dodgeball Manitoba or whatever. All the teams that play competitive dodgeball in the province that is Manitoba.
That's tremendous. It was a great weekend of the CFL. That's coming up later in the show, by the way.
Yes.
We will get some CFL content coming your way.
Have a feeling the good, the bad, the ugly may include some Canadian Football League content on today's edition of the program. Spencer Dupuis will be along as well later on here on the show today. Appreciate you joining us. 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com. And on the video stream, YouTube, 580 Sports Talk. Subscribe to the YouTube page today. All it costs you is a click, and you'll get notifications when we go live. You can catch all of our live and archive video content at our YouTube page. Again, that's 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. You can also watch us on Facebook, WIBW News. And that's it. You can no longer watch us on Twitter, I am sad to say.
I was just about to ask. I saw that we weren't on the old Twitter machine today.
So from now forward, it appears that you need to have a premium subscription to Twitter, X, the everything app, if you want to stream live video. And I'm not giving Elon Musk one red cent. So the Twitter stream is over, and anybody who is watching on Twitter, deeply apologize. Do watch us on the YouTube instead.
Apparently, the X stands for extremely dumb.
The X stands for X marks the
spot of something I'm not ever going to go to or do.
I'm not. He's not getting my money. That's all I'm telling you about Elon Musk. He's not getting one red cent of my money. I'm not buying a Cybertruck. Those things are ugly. I'm not paying money for the for the tweets, for the premium tweets.
Dude,
so watch the YouTube.
I will tell you what though. When I was at the Grand Canyon last month, we went to this crappy Mexican restaurant right outside the national park and whatever the name of the town was. And we're all sitting out there eating. And I went outside, I had to grab something from the car. And I came back in and we were parked next to a Cybertruck. It pulled up next to us while we were inside eating. And I told the rest of the people I was with, all of Abby's family, I said, hey, funny surprise out there for you when we go out and get back in the car. Because we had been making fun of Cybertrucks earlier in that day. We walk outside. Not only is it hilarious that there's a Cybertruck parked right next to us, poorly, I may add.
Oh, no way.
Tons of tourists. Like people in front of it doing the squat. You know, you squat and you throw up peace signs kind of sideways, kneeling in front of the car. Brother, there's like 18 of you. I know you did not all fit in that car. Why are you doing this? Why are you flexing with someone else's Cybertruck? What is cool about that? What is cool about doing that with anyone's car? But what's cool about doing that, period?
I love how the designers of the Cybertruck looked at the Pontiac Aztec, which was roundly ridiculed for its appearance when it was on the market, and said, hey, can we make something uglier than that? And then they did. They made something uglier and somehow less functional than that. And also autopilot might run over a kid. You never know. So, great piece of machinery there. I remember I saw one in the wild like a week ago. I saw
we have a few in town.
I saw one driving around town. I hope the driver saw me laughing at him.
Dude, I did not know that Lego people could drive. That's what they look like. They're Lego like cars. Like, oh, sweet. This is gonna go right next to my airplane, and my Bionicles is my Cybertruck.
Just utterly ridiculous. Utterly and completely ridiculous.
Can
Also dangerous.
Speaking of ridiculous, can I give you a strong Royals take here? I think this was a ridiculously good weekend for the Royals, even with a series loss.
We have lots of Royals to talk about. It was a very busy weekend for the Kansas City Royals.
And I'm hyped, man. I'm hyped. I think it's been a great last couple days.
They lost 2 out of 3 games in Boston, lost the rubber game yesterday, 5-4, left the go-ahead run on base, left the tying run on base, had the potential tying run thrown out at third with 1 out in the top of the 9th. Great base running from Garrett Hampson, who's good for what they call a toot-bland a week, thrown out on the bases like a nincompoop. Yeah, it happened to Hampson again in the 9th inning of what was a 1-run game. Great stuff. We'll get to that. We will talk about the Royals and their weekend trip to Boston. The Royals finished the All-Star, or the portion of the season before the All-Star break, 52-45, 2 games out of a wild card spot. But they were busy other than that. They made a trade. They went out and they got a late inning reliever, Hunter Harvey, from the Washington Nationals. That trade was consummated, I believe, late Saturday night. The Royals acquired the veteran right-hander, 29 years old, instantly the best strikeout arm in the Royals bullpen. Will he work the 9th right away? Should he work the 9th right away? Does have 10 career saves all last year. We'll discuss the deal for Hunter Harvey. Brendan's fired up about it. I'm a little more sanguine about it. I think it's a good deal, maybe not a great one. Brendan's a little more fired up about it than I am, so we'll talk about that. Also, the Major League Baseball entry draft is underway. Day 2 of the draft going on as we speak. Night number 1 last night. And with the 6th overall pick, the Royals selected the next Shohei Ohtani. No less than the next Shohei Ohtani. Jack Caglione is the newest Royals top prospect, and make no mistake about it, he instantly becomes the headline name in the Royals farm system. It's a slam dunk pick for the Royals at number 6. It's incredibly exciting. And yeah, they're going to let him be a two-way player, defying what everybody in the industry thought was going to be the case. So lots to talk about with regards to Caglione. And we'll get to all of the Royals chatter this hour here on 580 Sports Talk. But we've got much more to get to on the show than that. Chiefs training camp opens Sunday.
Yeah, it does.
In full, it opens on Sunday. That is the first day of full workouts with fans allowed to be present out in St. Joe. Quarterbacks and rookies report tomorrow. So with this final week before the unofficial start of football season, we're going to count down the top Chiefs storylines heading into training camp. I've ranked them from 5 up to number 1 based on the impact I think I'll have on this season. Storyline number 5, we'll talk about it at the top of the 3 o'clock hour. We'll also talk football with Matt Verderame from Sports Illustrated, SI.com. He is our NFL insider. He joins us at the bottom of the 3 o'clock hour here today. Also, got some college football to talk about. On3 released their list of the top 10 Big 12 football games of the year. We'll see how we feel about the list that they came up with. And folks, we're talking expansion again.
When I saw this, was it yesterday that Jason Shear of Wildcat Authority tweeted this?
Yes, yesterday evening, yes.
I am legitimately surprised I did not need to go to the hospital for my eyes rolling out of my head. I'm so sick of it.
I'm really tired of it too, but there is definitely smoke for this because Jason Shear was right pretty much from A to Z about last Big 12 expansion as he covers University of Arizona Athletics, Wildcat Authority, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. So for him to put his name on an internal belief, according to sources, that Florida State and Clemson are likely to join the Big 12 within the next year or so, that's an internal belief within the Big 12 that is happening. It's smoke, folks. And we'll talk about why it makes sense for Florida State, Clemson, why it makes obvious sense for the Big 12, but why the Big 12 ought to tread really lightly here. We'll get to that as well on the show. Plus, all of the other good stuff you've come to know and love from a Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk. We'll have good, bad, ugly, as I mentioned, coming up in the 3 o'clock hour. First, what is wrong with you stories of a new week. Sports headlines, top of the 5 o'clock hour. Trenton's going to lead us through another round of Name That Guy coming up in the 5 o'clock hour.
Did you tell me, Trenton, that you have an introduction for us today and that I don't need to go find rights-free game show music?
I don't have an introduction. I have and don't go through the rundown. Look at your nicknames that I put down for you guys. I don't want to spoil the surprise.
All right.
No, you're gonna have to play your 2003 Family Feud type music.
All right, I'll get something in the works for us. Don't you worry.
We'll
be ready.
We'll pull it up. All of that to come here on the program today. You are, as always, invited and encouraged to interact with the program today. The Top City Metal Supply text line is open for business. 785-272-9429 is the Top City Metal Supply text line number. Text us anything we're talking about, anything on your mind. We would love to interact with you on the text line. You can also interact in the YouTube live chat. If you are watching live on YouTube, jump into the chat. The water's fine, and we love to read your comments and interact with those throughout the program. You can also comment if you're watching on Facebook at WIBW News. We see those as well. All right, let's talk some baseball. We'll start with the on-the-field stuff because it was a very interesting off-the-field weekend for the Royals. They got a lot accomplished, and I think all of it good. On the field, though, a letdown. Royals win the opening game of the series in Boston Friday night behind a brilliant Cole Reagan's outing.
So good, man.
He was outstanding on Friday, proved why he deserved to be an all-star despite the 500 win-loss record. But then it was the 2 and the 3 starters that let the Royals down on Saturday and Sunday. It was death by pinprick for Seth Lugo. Single here, single there, a lot of opposite field stuff. The Red Sox had an outstanding approach against Lugo, carried it out to a tee, and lit him up. Worst outing of the season for Seth Lugo in terms of earned runs allowed. And then the offense did not have Lugo's back in any way, shape, or form. Only had 2 hits in Saturday's loss. Then on Sunday, it was Brady Singer at his worst, at his most inefficient, at his most difficult to watch. The version of Brady Singer that makes it so hard to fully put your trust and belief in Brady Singer every time he takes the ball. He did not last through 3 innings. The Royals did rally late, had an opportunity in the 9th. Garrett Hampson runs into an out at third base, and I just don't understand how it happens. There's no need for third base coach Vance Wilson to send him, and I'd have to go back and watch the replay and scrutinize it like it's the Zapruder film, but I don't think this is on Vance Wilson. I think Wilson is sending the runner on second, Dairon Blanco in from third. The ball is in front of Hampson. It's to the left field side of center, as the RBI single by Freddie Fermin is down into center field. The ball's in front of Hampson. He's got to know the arm in center field, the depth in the outfield at Fenway Park. And, hey, this was his first time ever playing at Fenway Park. Maybe he's not familiar or as familiar as he needs to be. But he's got to know he did not get a good read off the bat, did not take off running immediately from first, that he's not going to get to third. And with his speed, he doesn't need to get to third to score on a base hit. Yeah, you get to third with 1 out. You can score on a sac fly. Fenway, not really a great sac fly park.
No, unless you're hitting the dead center.
So I just don't see what he was doing. And I have said that a lot. I have said that too often about Garrett Hampson on the base paths this year. It's at least the 5th time I can come up with off the top of my head that he has needlessly run into an out. And then especially hurt because you could sense Boston went to Kenley Jansen, their closer, in the 8th inning. They figure, hey, we got 5 days off for our next game. Let's give Jansen 2 innings. Let's start him with the meat of the order. And then, if Boston had scored in the 9th, they could have pulled Jansen had it not been a save situation. But the time to get the big outs in a 1-run, 2-run game was the 8th, because that was 2, 3, 4 in the order. That was Witt, Pasquantino, and Perez, and Jansen carved them, struck them all out. So I liked the managing by Alex Cora to go to Jansen for the 8th inning, left him in for the 9th, but it was obvious he was faltering. He issued a free pass, and I really felt like the Royals had him on the ropes, and then they took him off the hook with the base running error that gave him a free out on the bases. Meant there were 2 outs with the tying run at second base, and then Nick Lofton's ball up the middle, not hit hard enough, did not escape through the outfield, and Lofton retired to end the ball game. It ended up then, in the end, a pretty typical 3-game series where you have 1 convincing win by the road team and 1 convincing win by the home team, and then the rubber game is a tight one, the swing game in a series, and it was a 1-run loss. So is there anything to panic about for the Royals? I don't think so. Obviously, offensively, they weren't very good on Saturday, but that just felt like an outlier kind of day. You didn't swing the bats worth a damn, and Seth Lugo, who's an all-star and a Cy Young candidate, has his first real clunker of an outing in a while. Sometimes those happen in over 162. Then a 1-run loss on Sunday. Those are tough to swallow, but I didn't see anything from the weekend that suggested, oh, man, that Boston team's way better than Kansas City.
No, I don't think they are. I mean, It happens. I mean, when we talked about going into this long stretch of schedule where the Royals were going to play a ton of teams that were hovering right around 500, which the Royals have been above for the majority of the year, but not by that much. I think the Royals have more in common with a Boston than, say, a Philadelphia, if we're talking about the different tiers of teams. You're going to end up losing games like that, and Seth Lugo is not going to be perfect every single time out this year. That game did make me feel, though, with how much contact he was giving up. The most hits he had given up in a game, he had given up 9 all the way back on April 21st, which you could argue was his probably third worst start of the year. He gave up 4 runs in 5 1/3 in that game. He gave up back in the start of June 5 runs in 6 innings. Those are his previous 2 worst outings of the year. I mean, nothing that was a complete disaster, but it's been a while. He's going to have probably more outings like that too. That's the way it goes sometimes. But that game did make me feel, when he went out there on Saturday, like, man, am I glad Seth Lugo is going to get some time off. I know he's going to pitch in the All-Star game. I assume he's pitching the All-Star game.
He is not starting the All-Star game.
No,
That'll be Corbin
Burns.
Burns. But, I would assume he would be available to pitch. He's on the roster.
I mean, he'll only go 1 inning, if even that. The nice thing about him is you could probably use him mid-inning and he'd be fairly comfortable with it since he was a reliever for so long.
Yeah.
You can probably do that. So he'll get a little bit of run in the All-Star game, but having some time to just sort of chill out and rest the arm a little bit, I do think is going to be valuable for Seth Lugo. He's going to pitch on Sunday coming out of the break. Very thankful that I'm going to be at that game. It'll be MIAA day, by the way, folks. Hope to see you Washburn fans out there. Having some time off, I think, is going to be important. Do you know how many innings he's thrown this year now?
He's got to be about 120, maybe close to 130.
127. Do you know what his career high in innings pitched is?
This was last year. It was like 146.
146. He is 19 innings away from it. He's 3 starts away from that. And we are in mid-July. We have been worried. Spencer and I have talked about this a number of times. There is a concern, there has to be, I think, that sits in the back of your head. Is he going to be able to hold up at this level for a full 162 games, close to, I don't know what he's on pace for right now, somewhere around like 180-ish innings. He's never done it before. It's been a long time. One time in his whole career, a career that has now taken him to almost 35 years of age. 146 is the most he's ever thrown. So you have to be a little bit worried about the durability. I don't know how you couldn't be, to be frank with you. So I don't think anybody on this Royals team needs the All-Star break more than Seth Lugo, just from a physical standpoint, just to make sure he's as rested as you can be going into the back, quote-unquote, half of this season. But that's the only major thing I took away from on the field this weekend. The Royals are going to be fine. It would have been nice, like I told you on Friday, it would have been nice to win this series. It would have felt good, but it's not like you are out of the playoff picture. It's not like you're out of the AL Central race or anything because you ended up taking just 1 of 3 in this series. So
no.
I'm not too stressed. It would have been nice, but you live, you learn, and you move on.
In fact, you're no worse off than you were in the Central race, given that Cleveland also lost 2 out of 3 this weekend. So you're 7 back. The Royals are going into the break 2.5 behind Minnesota for second place. And as I mentioned, 2 games behind Boston. Boston 53-42, Kansas City 52-45. So 3 back in the loss column, Kansas City, of a wild card spot. It just increases the importance, what this one series does. You never want to overact in one series. What this does is increase the importance of getting them back in a few weeks when they come to Kansas City. You want to get the 2 out of 3 from them and make it at the very least a wash. And if you can sweep them and get the drop on them in the season series, that should give you a leg up. But sometimes there's a wrong time to play a team. There's a good time to play a team and a bad time to play a team.
Yeah.
This might not have been the best time to play Boston. They're 20-9 in the last 29 games, averaging 5 runs per, and their left-handed bats really got after both Lugo and Singer in a way that it was surprising for Lugo in the sense he'd actually been better against lefties this year in terms of batting average and OPS allowed. It's never surprising when Brady Singer has a bad day against left-handers. If the slider's not biting, if he's not able to locate the fastball the way he has to locate it against lefties, he's going to have a bad time against a lefty-heavy lineup. And he had a really bad time yesterday.
Real quick, just while we're talking pitching, if I may swing it back towards something very positive here. Cole Reagans on Friday. I know that's old news. It was Friday night. Cole Reagans was awesome. He was absolutely fantastic. Did you know we've used the stat run value before here on the show? It's a StatCast thing. It's a stat that MLB and their advanced metrics keep. Were you aware that Cole Reagan's four-seam fastball is currently graded as the 6th best pitch in all of baseball?
I didn't.
Yeah, 6th best run value in all of baseball. The only pitchers ahead of him, how about Cade Smith's fastball is number 1. You know who Cade Smith pitches for? Anybody?
Yeah, he's out of the Guardian bullpen.
Yeah, he's a Guardian bullpen guy. Ronaldo Lopez of the Braves, his four-seamer.
All-star.
Emmanuel Clase, his cutter.
All-star.
Chris Sale, his slider.
All-star.
And George Kirby, his four-seamer.
Not an all-star somehow.
No.
Having a good year.
Probably should be an all-star, or could be at least an all-star. He's awesome. I love watching George Kirby pitch. That dude attacks the zone maybe better than anybody else.
Doesn't walk anybody. I love guys who don't walk anybody.
No, it rules. Batters are hitting under 200 against him this year. Cole Reagans is only behind those guys. His four-seamer better pitch this year in terms of value than Paul Skeens' split finger fastball. Like, that's how good Cole Reagans has been at his very best. And again, when I say individual pitch, I'm talking about every pitcher's arsenal, all 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, up to 8 pitches that a guy uses individually, all graded by StatCast. Cole Reagans is the 6th best out of thousands upon thousands in all of baseball. I can tell you that StatCast has graded this year 2,038 individual pitches. His is ranked 6th.
You know, it's funny. I still wouldn't say that's his best pitch.
Think the off speed is?
I think the changeup to right-handers. I think that's the pitch that makes him great, because you're going to face more right-handers than you face left-handers. Just there are more right-handed batters in the league than there are left-handed batters, but especially if you're a left-handed pitcher, you're going to see more righties than you do lefties. The platoon advantage is significant. The fact that he's got such a weapon against right-handed pitchers, batters, and it's a swing and miss weapon against right-handers, that's what takes him over the top. That's what makes him an ace to me.
For what it is worth, again, using the metrics from MLB StatCast here, Cole Reagan's changeup is ranked as the 197th best pitch in baseball. Again, do you remember how many pitches they had ranked? Over 2,000. Yeah. He's still in the top 10% in all of baseball. And I think I like that argument. The way I view it with Reagan's is he's got his best pitch might be the four-seam fastball. And based on these numbers, it is the four-seamer. But the fact that you've got a very valuable secondary wipeout pitch, that, again, I agree, is what makes him an ace, because you can alternate between those. It's, Mariano Rivera had the cutter, and it was just such a perfect, unhittable pitch. Like, frankly, he didn't really need anything else. He's maybe the greatest relief pitcher of all time, but you barely needed anything else along with Mo's cutter. The fact, though, as a starter, when you're going through so many good lineups every single day, and you're pitching 5, 6, 7, hopefully into the 8th inning every single time you go out, you've got to have that varied arsenal. It's why Brady Singer has had struggles, because he hasn't been able to commit to it. So when you've got Reagans, who every single batter, you have faith he's going to get ahead in the count, and then he can wipe them out, either going with his best pitch or with that secondary knockout pitch. I mean, that's something you hope every single starting pitcher in baseball has, and most do not, at least to this degree.
Cole Reagan's fielding independent pitching 6th in all of baseball, behind only Chris Sale, Garrett Crochet, Christopher Sanchez of the Phillies, Sonny Gray, and Tarek Skubal. Elite company. He was awesome on Friday. It's just unfortunate that Lugo and Singer could not follow that. At least one of them could not follow that in such a way that the Royals could have gotten a big series win. That's the difference between being 2 games back in the wild card hunt or being tied for, or at least mathematically tied for, a wild card spot going into the break. But still, 52-45 is the record for the Royals going into the break. Another reminder, if you need it, they won 56 games all of last season. If you said you saw this coming, you'd be lying. If you said you're not enjoying it, I don't know what to tell you. Can't wait for the second half. That's a few days away yet. We're going to take a break. When we come back, the Royals bullpen is going to look different when they come back from the All-Star break. That's because they made a trade and instantly added a player I believe is their best reliever. But I don't love how much they gave up for Hunter Harvey. We're going to talk about that on the other side of this break as we get things revved up from the Kansas Drive to Zero studio. This is 580 Sports Talk. Just getting warmed up on this Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk. It's 2:33. Dan, Brendan, Trenton, the group with you this afternoon. Spence will be along later on today. The Royals made a trade on Saturday night and acquired the relief arm that many of us have been hankering for, as Hunter Harvey was acquired from the Washington Nationals on Saturday night. Obviously didn't make it to Boston with the team. He'll join the team for the start of their homestand post All-Star break. Hunter Harvey, 6 years in the bigs. This really his third full season in the major leagues. His first 3 seasons with Baltimore were interrupted due to injury. Has only really become established as a reliever over the last 3 seasons with the Nationals, but they've been 3 very good seasons. So far this year, 43 appearances, a 2-4 record, and a 4.20 ERA. And I know that doesn't sound awesome, but hear me out. It's fine. 45 innings pitched, 50 strikeouts to just 12 walks. That's big-time strikeout stuff. 10 strikeouts per 9. You know how many Royals relievers have more than 9 strikeouts per 9 this season? Any guesses? I'm talking about current relievers on the roster as of Saturday when the trade was made. You know how many of them were striking out more than 9 guys per 9?
1.
Yeah, Sam Long, right?
Sam Long, 10.7 strikeouts per 9, and then Chris Bubich with 5 strikeouts in 4 innings barely counts, right? 1
not qualified.
Yes, exactly. And you could argue Long, only 19 in a third innings. That's not a huge sample either. The Royals don't have anybody doing this, and it's not a one-year wonder either. In 3 years, 2.5 as a National, he struck out 10.1 batters per 9 and only walked 2.3 batters per 9. Do you know how many Royals relievers, again, active as of Saturday before the trade, have a better walk rate than that?
1.
1 is correct. And again, we're not counting Chris Bubich, who hasn't walked anybody in 4 innings. James MacArthur, 1.5 per 9 innings.
Oh, J-Mac.
7 walks and 38 in the third. The supreme commander indeed. Commander of the strike zone. Hunter Harvey, again, not a small sample size mistake either. 2.3 walks per 9 over the last 2.5 seasons. This is strikeout stuff. This is, for a reliever, elite command. The only reason that the ERA is a touch higher for Harvey this year, he's been a little bit hit unlucky, allowing 8.5 hits per 9 compared to 7.5 and 6.5 the 2 seasons prior. Home runs below a home run per 9 innings, 4 home runs in 45 innings. Right now, right away, I think he is Kansas City's best reliever, and I would like to see Matt Quatrero deploy him in the 9th inning.
I would like to see that as well. And I would also like to add, talking about getting a little hit unlucky, you know what is good for pitchers who have gotten a little unlucky with the batting average on balls in play? Having Bobby Witt Jr. at shortstop and Michael Garcia in your infield as well, and Kyle Isbell in center field, and an improved, if not great, defender at first base in Vinny Pasquantino. That helps a lot.
Yes. This is a really good defensive team.
Also, it's a good pitcher's park.
Yes, that helps to keep the fly balls in the ballpark as well. No, he's their best relief pitcher right away. And
two, if I may add a little more statistical background here for you, the fielding independent number this year, his FIP, his FIP, if you will, way better than his ERA. ERA, as you mentioned, at 4.20. Fielding independent at 3.16. That's actually better than it was a year ago.
When he had an ERA of 2.82.
When he was really dang good. So you're talking, and by the way, we should note to the point you just made, 20 games finished last year. So he's got end of game, had 10 saves last season. Not a ton of experience there, but he has had end of game experience before. So the things that he can control, he's actually been really good at so far this year. You mentioned the elite control. He's got blow by you stuff. I was just telling you about the run value number from StatCast. Fastball for Hunter Harvey, top 80 pitch in baseball. We're talking like top 7% of the sport is how good that fastball has been this year. He blows it by guys all the time, gets a lot of swing and miss.
And he throws it for strikes.
Yes, that is a big deal. It is something, again, the Royals have, and I'm so happy to talk about this, I know it's beating a dead horse after a while, but I'm happy to talk about it in the context of the current Royals, because they have steered so far into the skid of what they want to be. Go look at who they drafted, and we'll get to Jack Castiglione here in a minute. Power. They've changed their approach of what they want their hitters to look like. Guys they've gone and added through free agency. Hunter Renfroe is not the kind of guy the Royals would have added 4 years ago. He's just not. Let's be realistic. And I know he's just, he's a 1-year veteran, 9 years in the league guy, but who they're drafting, guys who they are targeting to be a part of their offense. They want more big, powerful hitters. That's a strategy thing. That is a steering into the skid. That's our new brand kind of thing. Pitching wise, same thing. Guys who can throw the ball really bleeping hard. Guys who are going to get you to swing and miss. And guys who are going to, what was the phrase they used? Rain the zone?
Yeah.
Is that the phrase the Royals
It was
were using?
raid the zone last year. This year's rain the zone.
Yeah.
Something like
Royals, Kings, Queens, all those things. He does that. This is doing exactly what the Royals have intended to do, which is a smarter style of baseball than what the Royals previously were looking for, which was he needs to be a nice guy and he needs to have like Net Nanny on Internet Explorer. Like no porn in their house. Like that's what the Royals were looking for previously. This is good. I like the process of this. I know that the Royals gave up a lot. They gave up the guy who was graded as their number 2 prospect in their system in Caden Wallace. They gave up international slot money and a draft pick as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Okay. That is a lot for a relief pitcher. Okay. Understand, especially, and a little mea culpa here, because just last week I said, if you're going to go out and get a relief pitcher, get a rental. It's going to be cheaper. It's really volatile from year to year. So I understand that I'm backtracking a little bit on that, but you get an extra year of control here with Hunter Harvey, who is still, I'm going to say he's fairly young because he's 3 months younger than I am almost to the day. So he is still quite young, may I add. He doesn't have a whole lot of wear and tear on the arm. Now, he had a bunch of arm injuries when he was in Baltimore, but he hasn't pitched. He's only pitched in his career 168 and 2/3 innings coming into this. So you should be getting some prime, a prime part of the career of Hunter Harvey just over these next 2 seasons. And I like that the Royals are being aggressive. Now, if you give up your second-ranked prospect, who Spencer told us earlier today is already just the 6th ranked prospect in the national system for what it's worth, the fact that you're willing to give up a good prospect to improve your team right now, I like that process. I approve of that. One, the Royals farm system is already bad. I saw people prospect hugging Caden Wallace this weekend. Like, okay, he's an out of the top 100 second best player in your system who you improved upon immediately with 1 draft pick on Sunday. Like that's the player you gave up. I'm not sweating losing Wallace. All the, more power to him. Best of luck to him. I like this move for the Royals because it shows they are willing to be aggressive to try to improve a competing team right now and to get a major league ready player right now, an immediate contributor right now, which is something the old Royals wouldn't have done. And I like that a lot for what this team is trying to accomplish right now.
Trenton, you're chomping at the bit. Go ahead.
I don't think he's going to be a 9th inning guy. He has 26 holds this year. And it's not like Kyle Finnegan's Emmanuel Clase. I think he has like 27 saves. They said on the radio yesterday when they were talking about Hunter Harvey in the pregame. I think he's your 8th inning guy. I think MacArthur's solidified his closer spot because outside of May, James MacArthur has been really good.
Yeah, what is it? 1 earned run in the last month and week, like 5 last 5 weeks, 1 earned run.
Really good in April,
and sorry
really
to
good in
off,
June
Trenton.
and July, but really bad in May.
And to add to that point, I can understand wanting Harvey to be the 9th inning guy because he is the best guy. But also, if you think about the modern perspective on bullpen building, and maybe the more important guy is the fireman versus the closer, the guy who any high leverage situation, whether that's 7, 8, 9, you're willing to bring them in. The job for James MacArthur in the 9th inning is a whole lot easier if the guy who pitches before him in the 8th isn't allowing a run. Sometimes to allow a 2-run game to become a 1-run or a
John
tie.
Schreiber.
Yeah,
exactly.
Sometimes the biggest outs in a game are the ones you get in the 7th or the 8th because then your offense can tack on and that 1-run lead in the 7th that you're waiting to use your best reliever to protect. Well, what if your offense turns that? What if Salvador Perez cracks a 3-run homer and all of a sudden it's a 4-run game? So that's the argument for being more flexible with your best reliever. Harvey did save 10 games for Washington last year. Spencer, who will be physically live and on the show a little bit later on, jumping in the YouTube comments, he thinks he might get a shot at the 9th inning in Kansas City. Likes the move, he says, for both teams.
Nats insider Spencer Dupuis joining us.
This is why I feel like they gave up a little much. It was the 39th pick in the draft. For those who don't know, you cannot trade a first, second, third, so on and so forth draft pick, but compensatory picks that you get in exchange for losing a free agent or the prospect promotion incentive picks, anything between 31 or the comp rounds of the draft, you can trade those picks. So the 39th pick, it was a compensation round pick, competitive balance pick. Royals traded that pick, traded the slot money that came with it, and traded Caden Wallace, who's their number 2 prospect. And now I don't think Caden Wallace is the next George Brett. I don't think he's the next Kevin Seitzer. I'm not even sure he's the next Kelvin Gutierrez. But he's still your number 2 prospect, which means he's one of the more valuable chips that you've got to go and upgrade your team. And I'm not wild about the idea of using one of your most valuable chips in a move to go get a relief pitcher. I think if it had been me, and I'm not JJ Piccolo, but I would have liked to have seen your higher end prospects, the best guys you have in your system, which, however you feel about Wallace's future, unquestionably one of the best guys in this system right now. I felt like that was a chip that would have been best used to go and get somebody who's going to make a bigger impact than a Hunter Harvey, who, again, I think is good. I think he's their best reliever. I think he helps them. I think the Royals' 26-man roster is better today than it was before the trade. But I think that there are some other additions they need to make, specifically one impact bat. And I think that using your chips, your biggest chips, to go get that player would have been a more prudent use of your prospect value.
I just have a real quick question. For the people that don't know, Nick Anderson is the guy that the Royals had to cut.
Yes, Nick Anderson has been DFA'd to make room. Yeah.
34-year-old. Does he clear waivers and the Royals bring him back? Because he does have that minor league option. Do you think the Royals are interested in him bringing him back?
I would think so.
I would think they'd love to bring him back.
Yeah.
I would also think he would get claimed on waivers. He had been pitching pretty okay like the last month. I looked. I assumed he'd been really good, but the numbers really don't back that up. He's just kind of been fine. I was surprised because I think he's outperformed Chris Stratton, and I think he's outperformed Will Smith. And I would have tried to keep the guy who has a minor league option, or I would have looked at the 40-man and said, do we really need to hang on to a
Anthony Veneziano
or a John McMillan? Is that more, or a CJ Alexander? Is that a more valuable use of a 40-man roster spot right now than a guy who has an option, has big league experience, has late inning experience, and could maybe help? Because I think they're going to need more relief depth as things go on. And I thought Anderson, with the big fastball and swing and miss curve, I like him better than Smith or Stratton. I was surprised it was him that got DFA'd, and I don't think that's a great move either. But again, the roster is better today than it was yesterday. That's the goal of every trade you make, and the Royals got better with the addition of Hunter Harvey. Their farm system got better yesterday, too, with the number 6 overall pick in the draft. We're going to talk about Big Jack Cags when we come back here on 580 Sports Talk. The Major League Baseball entry draft is ongoing. Day 2 of the draft today, rounds 3 through 10. Jayhawk, another Jayhawk just went off the board.
Yeah, Cody, I'm worried I'm butchering his name here. Cody Shojinaga.
That's correct.
Is that spot on?
Yeah.
He went in 6th round to the Phillies. That's 2 Jayhawks who were drafted today. Hunter Cranton went to the Mariners, tied for the second highest picked KU player ever, 91st overall. And is it 4 K-Staters? 5? I feel like Wildcats are going off the board like crazy.
It's 3, including first-rounder Kalen Culpepper last night, number 21 overall to the Twins. Tyson Neighbors and Jackson Wentworth have been drafted by San Diego and Toronto, respectively. We'll give you a full accounting of any local players who've been drafted on the headlines at 5 o'clock later on, and, of course, who the Royals have drafted today. But last night, the Royals had the 6th overall pick in the draft and maybe took the most famous player in the draft, Jack Caglione.
You have to be the most famous player in the draft for me to know who you are. And I knew Jack Castiglione.
But did you know his name is not Castiglione?
What is it?
Caglione.
Caglione, I'm sorry. Yes.
Yes. There is an A-N in the middle of the name that is silent. Jack Caglione is the man's name, first baseman and left-handed pitcher out of Florida. And he was announced as first baseman / left-handed pitcher. Most everybody in the industry figured that Caglione's pitching days were over as soon as he got drafted. He was a starter for Florida this past year, started 16 games, had an ERA in the low 4s, struck out well over a batter per 9, can get up to 100 with his fastball, has a good slider, also has a history of arm injuries, has a Tommy John surgery in his past. So the assumption was, hey, it's really cool that he's a great two-way guy, and not just a great two-way guy, the best two-way guy in the country, has the John Olerud Award to prove it. That's the award, by the way, that goes to the best two-way player in the country, the John Olerud Award. Shout out to the great Wazoo Cougar.
If you win that, they should make you wear a helmet when you play.
The award should be a helmet.
It should be.
Honestly. But apparently most everybody in the industry did not include the Royals because Caglione, in his press conference last night, said that the plan is to continue as a two-way player, saying, quote, according to Ann Rogers of MLB.com, I'm very thankful they're giving me the opportunity to do both. I won't let them down. It's fascinating that the Royals are willing to take the chance, at least to start. It's really hard to imagine that it lasts until the major leagues. I mean, there's a reason there's only one Shohei Ohtani, right? That there just haven't been any other guys to follow in those footsteps. The Shohei Ohtani is truly one of one. But if the Royals are looking for bullpen help, they could do a lot worse than a lefty could blow 100 with a slider coming out of the bullpen in August, September, right? Like, is he better than Will Smith right now? He might be. He really might be.
In the conversation, at least. I'm interested how it would work with a relief pitcher. Because they had to change the rules, right, about Shohei, where he could still bat even when he was removed from the game.
Starter, and if the pitcher is the DH, he can remain in the game as the DH as the starter. But if you come in, then I guess the player that replaced him in the field would be the one who was being DH'd for, I think.
Yeah, it's something like that. They altered the rules to make sure he could bat for a full 9 innings.
And then you got to figure out how to get him out to the bullpen and get him hot if you used him as a relief pitcher, if you started him in the field. I don't know. Again, a lot of logistics to it. I credit the Royals for at least considering the idea of it because like a top-end two-way player is crazy valuable. But
especially because even if he's only going one way, he's going to be really good. Because if he can only go one way, he's going to bat. Right?
Yes. No question. Right. Let me be clear. The 20 to 80 scouting scale, 20 is like you and me. Those are our tools. Like 20 grade speed. That's us.
Hey, I'm at least a 25.
20, like Salvador Perez, 20 grade speed, right? Bottom of the scale. Top of the scale is 80. You don't put a lot of 80s out there. Like Bobby Witt Jr.'s speed is an 80. Terrence Gore's speed was an 80. Aaron Judge's power is an 80. Garrett Crochet's fastball is probably about an 80. Jack Caglione has 80 power. It is top of the scale. It is legit, big time, no doubt home run power. Now, it's all pull power. It's not a lot of opposite field power. But he hit 75 home runs in the best baseball league in America over the last 3 years. Hit 33 as a sophomore, turned around, broke his own program record with 35 this year. The way people talk about his power potential, I don't know that the Royals have ever had anyone quite like him in their minor league system. Now, I don't go all the way back like maybe some of you do, but really the only name I can think of that has entered the Royals system and had this kind of power potential is Bo Jackson. Like, that's what we're talking about here. And, of course, Bo was rawer than raw. Caglione been playing a ton more baseball.
Mhm.
The top end outcome for Caglione is a superstar power hitter. When have the Royals ever had one of those?
Never.
Yes, the correct answer is never. The correct answer is never. They have never had like an Aaron Judge type of guy.
Never.
Like there's a reason the home run record was 36 in the franchise for years and years and years. Steve Alboni set that record in the mid 80s and it stood for 30 years.
Yeah.
That's the top end outcome for Jack Caglione. That's why it's so exciting that he enters the Royals system.
Agreed.
And he is instantly their number one prospect. That's going to do it for this first hour of 580 Sports Talk. Come on back with us. We're going to start counting down the top training camp storylines for the Kansas City Chiefs, with training camp set to begin on Sunday in earnest. From the Kansas Drive to Zero studio, this is Let's get it. Hour number 2, 580 Sports Talk, Monday edition, July 15th, 2024. Dan Lucero, Brendan Dworzinski, Trenton Kraxner in the box with you this afternoon. Spencer Dupuis will be along a bit later on.
In the penalty box.
In the penalty box. Just in the box.
4-hour misconduct.
That would be a good name for this show, frankly.
That's a sick name for the show.
It's also a sick name for a band.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is.
4-hour misconduct, my hockey podcast coming very soon to wherever you get your podcasts, where I run out of hockey takes 10 minutes in and then just sit there and name old Avalanche players for the final 3 hours and 50 minutes. Remember Neimanen?
I've listened to worse podcasts before.
Yeah, I know. I have too.
The other day, I was pretty tired. It must have been Saturday night. I was lying on my couch in the basement, and I was watching Mystery Science Theater, I think. And I was barely staying awake. I went to bed briefly after, and I was trying to think of ideas for what we could do on the show this week. And one of them, legitimately, I thought at the time this was a great idea, said, maybe at 5:20 one day we could just remember some guys. And I just started in my head. I was like, Jimmy Smith, Keenan McCardell. Really just remember some 2003 Jaguars is essentially what I was doing. Like Fred Taylor, David Garrard. Like I just was
sit there and say their names out loud with no context.
Yeah. Again, we've had worse segments.
We have. We're going to do a little guy remembering in the 5 o'clock hour. We got the Quizmaster back. Trenton Kraxner. We're going to play another round of Name That Guy.
I got to take down Spencer.
We both
it's
have to
nothing
take
personal,
down
Spencer, but I got to take him down.
So
I have to. I always have prided myself. You're I mean, I don't know your like outside of sports trivia knowledge. I've always prided myself on being a good trivia guy. I'm pretty good at Jeopardy, for example. I don't like losing trivia games. And this isn't like true trivia, but it kind of is. I don't like losing. The hurt of losing will always be a more powerful emotion than the joy of winning.
Yes, I also hate losing more than I like winning.
Yeah.
Spencer got the drop on me last Monday when we did this because we both knew, like, we locked eyes before the end of the tie-breaking NHL player Name That Guy. We both said, yeah, we know who this is. And he just spat it out faster than I could. I mean,
hey, that's fastest finger.
Yeah, I guess that's the way the game goes. I thought, since we both obviously knew it, we might just, share the spoils.
Listen,
silly me.
I respect it. He wanted to win.
Yeah, he wanted more, and I give it to him. And I got to snatch the chain back today. No excuses.
Comment here from Tyler on the 580 Sports Talk YouTube feed. We'd love for you guys to go check us out on YouTube. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. Super easy to go find. Go to youtube.com, search 580 Sports Talk, click subscribe. It is so free, you would not believe it. And you can check out all of our video content online.
You can't watch us on Twitter anymore, unfortunately. So if you were doing that, our apologies. But go ahead and watch us on YouTube or Facebook, WIBW News.
So Tyler says, if we wanted to go with a hockey nickname for the show, Sin Bin Live.
Yeah, it's not bad.
If we were in Edmonton, I bet you that show title would go crazy.
Yes,
well, I guess they have the Elks too, but like a place where hockey is king.
Trenton, did you listen to any sports talk radio in Winnipeg? Do they have like 24/7 Jets talk?
No. I drove by a couple different radio stations though.
They all start with C's up there. The call letters all start with the letter C.
I believe the Riders' flagship station is CKRM in Regina.
The city that runs the
Regina.
All I know is that there was a guy wearing an Edmonton Oilers hat that sat in front of us with a Winnipeg Blue Bombers jersey at the game.
That seems inappropriate.
And something cool that they do is after the game, you can go down on the field and take pictures with the mascots, and the players will come out and sign your jerseys.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Did you meet anyone?
Oh, we took a picture with the mascots.
Nice.
What were their names? Like Boom and Bludgeon or something like that. They're both bees.
Boom and Bludgeon.
No, that's not it.
Also a great album name.
Boom and Bludgeon.
My doom metal band is coming with our new EP. Boom and Bludgeon.
No, but they were cool mascots because
that's what I'm pretty sure those two won the WWF Tag Team Championships in 1993.
Great match with the Legion of Doom.
Because they had Captain Blue who would drive an airplane in the end zone every time the Bombers scored. Like a toy airplane prop.
They're Buzz and Boomer.
See, I was close.
Boom and Bludgeon is so much better.
God, dude, that's sick.
See, I knew they both started with B. They were right on. I was right on top of it.
Oh, man.
You can request that they appear at your event. We should see if they'll come down here.
Too bad Trenton's not married, but too bad you're already married, Brendan. We could have had Boom and Bludgeon at your wedding.
We could have, yeah.
CFL mascots at the Dorzinski wedding.
According to the Blue Bombers website, since hatching in the spring of 1984, mascots Buzz and Boomer have been firmly nestled in the hearts of Bomber fans. They are undoubtedly the province's most recognized and beloved feathered ambassadors.
I bet.
What's the competition like?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Yeah, who did they beat out for that honorific?
Oh, man.
Hit us up on the YouTube live chat if you'd like. Watch it on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk.
I need some art. I need like a demo version of what Boom and Bludgeon would look like.
A lot of eyeliner, I'm guessing.
Oh, yeah.
Watch it on Facebook,
The My
WIBW
Chemical
News.
Romance group.
You can hit us up on the Top City Metal Supply text line as well. 785-272-9429 is that number. 785-272-9429. Do we think anybody else is still with us, considering the early release of EA College Football 25 happened 12 minutes ago?
Yeah, it's
The game is now in the hands of those who have paid the extra, at minimum, $30 to pre-order the game for their next-gen consoles. Sorry to those of you still with the PS4s or the Xbox Ones.
or for some of us, the PS3, maybe even the PS2. Yeah, they not available. Sadly, those of us Nintendo heads, no Nintendo Switch either, but that's okay. We trudge on. Yeah, there were pretty much two things my entire Twitter timeline was talking about this weekend. One of them I'm not going to bring up on the show today. The other one was EA College Sports and or college football. And I'm very happy for everyone who is getting to play. It's not going to include me, but I'm very happy for everyone else. It looks cool. I watched a bunch of the introductory gameplay videos. They had a bunch of various influencers and celebrities who were playing demos of it this weekend, including, did you see the damage control that had to come out of Boulder, Colorado this weekend?
Oh, yeah.
So Travis Hunter was the star Mr. Everything for Colorado football. He was playing a game online along with Shedeur Sanders. They were playing as Colorado versus Colorado. Would have been very funny if they had played as someone else. And at one point, Travis Hunter gets sacked and starts complaining about the offensive line and about how bad they are. And Shedeur chimes in and they start talking about how bad the offensive line is. Shedeur went on Twitter later and said, he was just talking about the virtual one, not our actual offensive line, to try to do damage control. But I will say this. I will compliment EA Sports and I will compliment Travis Hunter. An incredible job reenacting reality. Art is imitating life. Playing as the Colorado quarterback, Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter had a clean pocket, rolled out to the left, then ran right back up the middle directly into a defender to get sacked. Incredibly realistic for the Colorado offense.
I saw that a lot last year.
Yeah, tremendous
watching Colorado. But I think I'm going to see it again a lot this year.
Oh, yes.
So, yes, congratulations to those who are getting it to play.
When are you getting it?
To play. I'm get it Friday.
Okay.
I got a son to raise.
On the video game.
Yes, but that can't happen for a little bit yet. No, I'm not paying $30 for 3-day early release when, let's be real, my time to play it is going to be on the weekends, if at all. And also, I don't need all the Ultimate Team goodies, because if you play college football Ultimate Team, you are the feds.
I wouldn't do any sort of game where I have to pay for stuff. I play the show.
Microtransactions are the worst.
I actually just this weekend bought this year's edition of the show because it was on sale, half off, and that's when I buy it. So All-Star Weekend is when I get the show every year because I can get it for $30 instead of $60. And you can do Diamond Dynasty, which is their ultimate team. You can do it for free. You can play the whole thing for free and be just as good as anybody else. So I love playing that, but anytime you have to say, oh, well, you can grind this one thing for 84 hours or you can pay $3 and get it. Nah, I'm good.
No,
that ain't for me.
Hard pass on the microtransactions.
I already paid a lot of money just to have this game. Right. I do not need to spend more money on it.
It's why I don't play online. I've had people ask me, well, we should play online. I should not have to pay for the right to play online on a console I paid for, on internet I pay for, on a game that I paid for.
By the way, this is why I tell everyone, I've said it on the show. I one day was screaming Spencer's ear off talking to him about this. If you ever get a chance, and I'm talking video game, I'm talking Blu-ray, I'm talking DVD, I'm talking buy CDs and vinyl, buy physical media. It is always going to be a better deal for you. So they can't take away the licenses. The companies can't say, oh, well, you actually bought a license to play this game. You didn't buy the game. No, buy the physical media so you know that it's yours.
Kind of love that idea.
Yeah. They are taking everything away from us. This came up originally. I was radicalized to this idea a few years ago when Netflix was removing all sorts of super popular stuff. People were like, wait, I wanted to watch The Office for the 900th time, or I wanted to watch that weird foreign film I'd been waiting on. Oh, sorry, you can't watch it anymore. Maybe it'll come back one day. Maybe you spent your months, your cost to get Netflix to watch this thing. Now you can't watch it. Too bad, so sad. Buy physical media. It is going to be worth it. Own it. They're taking things from us. Own it. That's my advice to you. That's like how Jake used to always say if it was cold, bring a cardboard to a football game so you can stand on it. And turn your wipers on when it rains. That's actually the law, though. He always would harp on that. I will always harp on. He did. He used to say it all the time.
He did.
I will tell you, buy the physical media. Do it. It is worth it. They're trying to take that from you. Don't give in.
You want to talk some football?
Desperately.
Yes, let's get into some football.
Save me from myself, please.
Kansas City Chiefs training camp opens on Sunday. The quarterbacks and rookies report to St. Joe tomorrow. And in the spirit of the excitement of the opening of training camp for the back-to-back Super Bowl champions, we have on this program the top 5 storylines heading into training camp. I have ranked them from 5 down to 1 based on the impact I think they will have on this season. We're going to do one each day this time throughout the week here on 580 Sports Talk. And the number 5 storyline heading into Chiefs training camp this year is this. I don't need a drum roll. This is the storyline. Who is running back number 3? And will running back number 1 play so much it won't really matter? I think the latter is a more interesting question than the former. Let me explain. Jerick McKinnon has felt like an instrumental piece of the last 2 Super Bowl champions. When it comes to stuff that doesn't show up in the stat sheet, his work as a pass protector has been outstanding. He's one of the best blitz pickup running backs, pass protecting running backs, I believe, in the league. Really good at that. It's a skill that has kept him in the league, even after injuries threatened to end his career prematurely as a running back. It's made him a valuable piece for the Chiefs as they've won back-to-back Super Bowls. But did you know that Jerick McKinnon only touched the ball 46 times last season? 46 touches.
I knew it wasn't a lot, but I did think it was more than that.
21 carries, 25 receptions. Even if you account for the games he missed, he sat out 5 games last year due to injury, so he only appeared in 12. That's still less than 4 touches per game. And when you factor that in, the fact that he was not instrumental in contributing yards and first downs and touchdowns necessarily to the Chiefs offense, and then you add in Isaiah Pacheco's visible improvements as a pass protector last year. It was something he had to get better at after year 1. Pacheco almost never played passing downs as a rookie, like those obvious 3rd and long passing downs. Mm-hmm. Last year, we started to see a bit more of him in pass protection. And when you combine those two things, I understand why the Chiefs feel like they can move on without McKinnon, if indeed that's what happens. We have not heard anything about the two sides, and anybody we ask about it doesn't have any speculation that a reunion is imminent. So maybe the Chiefs are moving on from Jerick McKinnon. He's into his 30s. He's a lot of tread on the tires. Maybe the Chiefs feel like they're ready to move on with that roster spot. But McKinnon did play more snaps than Clyde Edwards-Helaire last season. Those 250-ish snaps, I think it was 262. I didn't write down the exact number. But those 250-odd snaps that Jerick McKinnon's roster spot was accountable for last year have to come from somewhere. Is Deneric Prince's speed going to make him the favorite? Remember, Deneric Prince, the first week of training camp last year, was going to make the team. That was going to happen.
Yes.
He had a very bad first preseason game, and then the hype bubble just completely burst. And we never heard from Deneric Prince again. He wasn't even activated for week 18 and just spent the whole year in the practice squad. is his speed and his year on the practice squad going to be beneficial for him? And is he going to be an option at running back number 3? LaMichael Pirine is back. Did he show enough in his cameos last year, including a Week 18 start against the Chargers? What about Louis Rees-Zammit, the Welshman, the ultimate wild card in this discussion? Does he have a roster spot that might be secured based on his ability in special teams, both carrying the ball as a return man and maybe even as a coverage man as well? But the more interesting question to me is not who's going to be in that spot on the depth chart, but how many more snaps or touches can Isaiah Pacheco handle? You know, he played in 50% of the snaps last year.
He only played in 50%?
Only 50% of the snaps last year.
Interesting.
For comparison's sake, Saquon Barkley, who we consider one of the best running backs in football. I was just curious. So Barkley was the first one I went to. I didn't go to Christian McCaffrey. I went to Barkley. He's been healthy the last 2 years. He's been an 80% workload back. He has appeared in 80% of his team's offensive snaps. Can Isaiah Pacheco handle a true feature back workload? 250 carries, 30 to 50 catches, third down pass protection duty. I think you can evaluate how the Chiefs have approached the running back position this offseason as a sign of faith that Pacheco can do it. You think they're right?
No. And I think the reason why is I think the goal with Isaiah Pacheco is going to be mini Derrick Henry. I think that is going to be the attempted goal here for the Chiefs, which I think is going to... So maybe it's less so that he can't handle it, but he has been banged up a little bit during his first 2 years. Are they things that worry you a ton? Like, is it a nagging hamstring? No. But he had the hand. He had the shoulder? Is that what the other injury was?
Yeah, it was a shoulder.
It was a shoulder.
Yeah.
I wonder if, and I think the plan is going to be November and December and January are the Isaiah Pacheco months. Just like El Tractorcito. That was always the thing with Derrick Henry, right? Is that he was good for the first half of the year. And then when you got to the cold months and the wet and snowy and nasty months, you just kept running him right down the throat of everybody you played defensively. Who wants to tackle Derrick Henry when it's 25 degrees out and windy and cold and dark? No one wants to do that. No defender, no safety wants that smoke. No one. The closest analog to the style that Derrick Henry runs with is Isaiah Pacheco, just in terms of the physicality. I think that is what the Chiefs are going to do, which is why I am a little bit concerned about the running back depth for this team. Like Jerick McKinnon, you're right, only had the 46 touches. He didn't play the full season last year, correct?
Yeah, just 12 games.
Yeah, so that would have altered things at least a little bit. You had 4 more on a game. I mean, that's another 20 touches or so. 60-something would make a lot more sense. But he was still more of a weapon than Clyde Edwards-Helaire is, and the threat of him was more dangerous, I think, than anything Clyde Edwards-Helaire is bringing to the table. That does worry me a significant amount, that there's not a more reliable option. Like, we know what Clyde is at this point. We don't really know what Deneric Prince is, but I think we kind of know what the ceiling for Prince in all likelihood is.
And there are a couple other guys I should mention that are on this projected 90-man roster for camp to start. Amani Bailey, the undrafted free agent from TCU. Carson Steele, undrafted free agent out of UCLA, who I actually really liked in college. I like both those guys in college, to be honest with you. Keontae Ingram was a free agent pickup. He spent the last couple of years with the Arizona Cardinals and has some NFL experience if that's a route that the Chiefs want to go. He's a little bit more stout, 6 foot 220, same kind of build as Steele. Amani Bailey, a smaller guy, built more like Clyde, 5'7", 200. So they've got some choices, and it does feel like this is a position where they do want to go young. But I think Pacheco took a big enough step forward as an all-purpose back last year. I mean, he went in from year 1 to year 2 in 3 fewer games. He went from 14 targets to 49 targets in the passing game. And now he didn't do a lot with those targets. He caught 44 of them, which is good. Averaged 5.5 yards per catch, which is not like he had not been the game breaking. I don't want to overstate it, but both McKinnon and Clyde Edwards-Helaire averaged more yards per reception than Pacheco did last year. So that's the question. can he be more of a factor with his targets, with his receptions, and can he be in the game on third down? I don't think you necessarily want to use him as your pass protection, just have him stand there and absorb blows on 3rd and 12 when he's never going to get the ball. But if that's not him, then who steps forward in that role? Because I don't think we've seen Clyde Edwards-Helaire trusted to handle that role. Do they keep an extra tight end in those situations and empty out the backfield? Like, that's the skill set that I don't know who replicates or who matches. But Pacheco's the closest guy. And I think they've gotten him closer to being an all-purpose player such that if they wanted to give him the rock 250 times this next year, because he carried it 205 times in 14 games last year. He played a full season, he would have gotten to 250. I think he's on track for that this year, and I think they do trust him with more snaps. Now, how many more is the question? Like, is he going to be a Saquon Barkley, play 80% of his team snaps? Maybe not, but I certainly think he should get closer to like a 65, 75% role and could be even more productive and have his first 1,000-yard season this year.
I think if I had to guess right now what the breakdown would be, I would say Pacheco. Let's go. I'm going to say right around 50 again. I'll say Pacheco gets 50% of the running back snaps. I would put Clyde at about 35%. I think you'll see RB3, who we'll touch on again in a minute, from 10 to 15%. And then I think you'll see Lewis Rezamet for 5 or under percent. I think they will try to find a way to get him involved at least a little bit offensively, probably just on jet sweeps, probably on mostly trickery kind of plays. I don't think he's ever going to like line up in the eye and like you're going to run 33 power with him. I just don't think that's going to happen with Rezamet, certainly not in his first season, but I do think you'll see him on the field at least a couple of times offensively. My question for you, we named a few of the guys. You're Andy Reid. You get the Dave Tobe role, okay? You get like 5 guys on the roster who are just your guys, but you are responsible for picking RB3. Which of those guys would you take?
Ask me after preseason game 1, because I want to see what it looks like for Rezamet at game speed. Like, if he can do some things with the ball at game speed, if he's an effective special teams player, because I think that might be the fit for him. He might be a demon on kickoff coverage, and maybe somebody who does things with the ball in his hands in the kick return game. We're going to talk more. Spoiler alert, the new rules are going to be one of the storylines that we talk about this year and how the Chiefs maybe try to exploit that. If he can do it without fumbling, like if he comes out like Jared Hayne and puts the ball on the floor all the time and then, get the rugby guy back to rugby. But if he can hang on to the ball and absorb some punishment and dish some out himself, I think he's a really intriguing piece. He's a stout kid at 6'2", 210, and the athleticism can potentially translate. He's my lean, but I want to see what it looks like in a game situation.
I'm going Carson Steele.
I did like him at UCLA.
He was great at Ball State before he ended up at UCLA. He's a good player, fun player. He's thick, and not the kind of thick where it's
6'2", 230, almost like a fullback.
There was Arrowhead Pride, in fact, in their draft breakdown of him, said they wondered if he might transition to a more fullback-like role at some point, which, I'll be honest with you, if the Chiefs want to get back to running normal plays on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1, remember fullback trap Michael Burton? Carson Steele, better runner with the ball, bulky, wouldn't hate that. Wouldn't hate that as your, 3rd and short, 4th and short yardage option to go with a guy like Carson Steele. He's my favorite of the group, just in terms of all-around skill. Don't know exactly what he'd be as a pass blocker. That would obviously be a concern, but if I had to pick today, that's who I would pick as my RB3.
We're going to take a break here on 580 Sports Talk. Come back with a good, bad, ugly from the weekend that was on 580 WIBW. for a round of the good, the bad, the ugly from the weekend that was. I'll start with a quick good. Always nice to see pitchers recovering from Tommy John surgery back on the mound. Royals got Chris Bubich back a couple of weeks ago. One of my favorites returned to the mound yesterday for my favorite team, the Rockies. German Marquez back after undergoing Tommy John surgery late last April. Didn't pitch great, but his team won, and it was nice to see him back on the mound. Always like to see pitchers recover from that injury and make it back. It's a long, hard road, but it's always great to see. Brendan, what was your good?
My good, awesome weekend up in the Great White North. Trenton was there for the unbelievable Winnipeg versus Calgary game in the CFL. Great game after great game. Last night's game was an absolute tire fire. I said earlier, Calgary-Winnipeg was like 2016 Big 12. Ottawa-Edmonton last night was like any given Tuesday night MAC game. Just a tire fire of a football game. Great ending, though. So great weekend up north.
Trent, real quick, what was the best thing about your trip to Winnipeg, man?
Outside of the football game, we went to the zoo, and there was some pretty cool stuff. There was polar bears, kangaroos we got to see up close, stuff like that. I would say the zoo was pretty cool.
It's awesome. Awesome. Love to hear it.
Better than the poutine?
Overrated.
Oh, wow.
Not impressed. I think people push for it to be the national dish because they literally serve it everywhere. Like at the football game, you can get poutine. Like, not impressed.
My bad was Gary Hampson's base running gaff in the ninth inning yesterday. I think that cost the Royals the game. I think they were going to get to Kenley Jansen if not for that. What's your bad, Brendan?
My bad was I had to slam on my brakes when someone made a stupid left turn in front of me on Saturday, and the 2 frozen lemonades from Chick-fil-A I was bringing home to my wife and I flew all over the front of my car.
Oh, no. Oh, dear.
Not great.
That's unfortunate. My ugly is that I put my contacts in the wrong eyes this morning when I woke up. In case you were wondering how being the parent of a now 5.5-week-old was going, that's how it's going.
My ugly, yeah, kind of a rough weekend for you, boy. I fell off a ladder on Saturday. Yeah, small. It's only like 3 steps up. It's a small in-the-house ladder.
Okay.
I was putting up a curtain rod, and I don't know. I lost my balance. I don't know if our drill is real crappy, so I had to push real hard against the wall. Lost my balance, fell. Thankfully, I did not land on the bed frame, which would have, like punctured my neck and killed me. But I did jack up my foot. There's a huge bruise on the sole of my left foot, and it's not really fun to walk right now.
That's good, the bad, the ugly from the weekend. You know what's always good? Matt Verderame joining the show. He's going to join us after this break here on 580 Sports Talk. Joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline is Matt Verderame, NFL writer for Sports Illustrated, SI.com, also host of the Matt Verderame Show, which you can find on his Patreon, and That Football Show on the KC Sports Network. He joins us every Monday here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, training camp's open this week. We made it. We did it. We're here.
Thank God. I'm really sick of talking about the preseason on every single. Like I think I talk more and write more about football than I ever have, and I got to tell you, it's pretty tough when it's like June 27th. So I'm very happy football's back.
What are you most interested in following as training camp gets underway? Is there one particular league-wide storyline that you find the most fascinating going into this year?
The Jets. I just think that could go in so many directions. Now, look, I mean, I could reel off 20 things. We could sit here and talk about the rookie quarterbacks like we always do. We could sit here and talk about the Niners, who this might be the last best shot this group has to win it all. We could talk about Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers. What does that look like? And Herbert kind of having a totally new offense around them, but obviously not some receivers, but it's a run-first offense with Greg Roman. But the Jets, to me, are the team. And to expound on that, I would almost say the AFC East as a whole, more specifically Buffalo, New York, and Miami. I think all those teams are really interesting, but I look at the Jets, and being from the area, I just know how this could play out. And if there is any inkling this summer that Rodgers isn't 100% committed, that there's some kind of a rift, that Saleh doesn't have the respect of the room, and then they go on Monday Night Football in Week 1 in San Francisco and they lose that game, the panic on the airwaves out in New York is going to be insane. So I don't think there's any team under more of a microscope than the Jets this season.
Is the AFC East, you say it's maybe the most interesting division in football. Do you think it might be the best?
No. I think the AFC North and the NFC North are both better. I think New England is bad. Like I think defensively they're pretty good. Offensively they can't score. And I'm in the minority maybe with this. I feel like we're just kind of done with Miami at this point. I've seen what Miami is. Miami's a team that when it's above 70 degrees and the weather's great, everything's going their way, they're awesome. They're fun. And when it's not that, it's over. And they're not going to beat you. And I look at the AFC East, I think it's a very competitive division. I think there are certainly 3 teams who can make the playoffs, but in the other 2 divisions, I think there are 4 teams who can make the playoffs in each division. I include Minnesota in that. I think Minnesota's got a lot of talent. Like if McCarthy's even halfway decent, that team's interesting. So I'd probably put the AFC East like 3rd. Not a bad division by any stretch, but I think the 2 northern divisions are the 2 best.
Matt Verderame is our guest. He covers the National Football League for Sports Illustrated and SI.com. He's also the host of the Matt Verderame Show on Patreon and That Football Show at the KC Sports Network. He joins us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline every Monday at this time. The Dolphins, man, I know we've talked about this team before over the course of the offseason. I mean, they're fun to watch when things are going well for them. And I think they're a really interesting team this offseason because they've been the same thing 2 years in a row. The problems they have, the front-running nature of that team, is that a Tua problem? Is that a Mike McDaniel problem? Is that an organizational problem?
Yeah, and I think it's kind of all the above problem. But I think if I had to, kind of pin it down, I just think it's the way they're built. They're not built to play multiple ways. And when I look at teams, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, how can that team win a Super Bowl? How many ways can they win a Super Bowl? Like, I look at the 49ers, okay, they could run their way to a Super Bowl. They could throw their way to a Super Bowl. They could play defense and win a Super Bowl. The Chiefs, maybe you don't want to say, okay, they can run their way, but you have Mahomes, you can play defense, you're so well coached. I mean, there's a lot of different ways. Miami is pretty much like, well, they better be able to hit a 8-yard slant route and take it to the house. Because if they can't do that, they're probably not beating very good teams. And we have seen at this point 2 years worth of evidence. When they play good teams, they lose. When they play in anything other than perfect weather, they lose. Or at bare minimum, struggle mightily. When I look at the AFC, I would probably pick, 6 6, 7 teams ahead of them that I think would win the Super Bowl before they would, because I don't think they can win a Super Bowl the way they play. I'm not saying they can't win a playoff game or they can't win a division, but they're not ever going to Arrowhead or Buffalo or Cincy or Baltimore and win the playoff game. They're just not. They're not built to do it. And so that's why I just kind of look at them. Yeah, they're fine, but I don't see them as a big threat.
Our guest is Matt Verderame from Sports Illustrated, SI.com, joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. The Chiefs send their quarterbacks and rookies to camp tomorrow. They open in earnest on Sunday in St. Joe. We're going to be throughout the week on the program looking at the biggest training camp storylines going into the season. And the one we picked out today regards the running back position. The Chiefs are coming into the season with really only 2 proven NFL backs on the roster, and Isaiah Pacheco and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I know Keontae Ingram's gotten a little burn with Arizona, but other than that, there's no Jerick McKinnon on this depth chart, at least for now. Isaiah Pacheco averaged about 14 and a half carries per game last year, caught 44 passes, so he's around 250 touches in his 14 games last year. Do you think there's more of a snap load possible for Pacheco? Do you think that he's improved enough as a pass protector, improved enough in the passing game that the Chiefs can really lean on him a little more? Or do you suspect that they might want to keep him not completely on ice, but use him at his most effective when it gets cold in December and January?
I think in a perfect world, they'd love to just kind of put him on ice, but they're going to need him to pass block because Clyde Edwards-Helaire can't pass block. That's not going to happen. So he's going to have to be out there on third down. Unless they've got some kid that they feel really confident in all of a sudden on third down, but that is a big, big job, a very important job. I would expect that Pacheco is going to be out there, and that's going to be more wear and tear, taking on blitzing linebackers, taking on blitzing safeties and corners. That said, and I've said this on my podcast, like I wonder with the Chiefs this year if they are going to be very, very judicious with the way they play their starters snap-wise this season. And I think they'd be well advised to play guys 10% less than they normally do. Obviously, look, there's nothing you can do with the offensive linemen. Like, they're going to be out there every snap. Mahomes, but like, if you normally play Kelsey 85% of the snaps, I play him 75% of the snaps. If Pacheco's out there 75%, I play him 65%. I don't care if that means Clyde Edwards-Helaire is getting an extra dozen snaps a game. Fine. Hey, if I'm the Chiefs, this entire season is about one thing: go in the Super Bowl. It's not about beating Cincinnati week 2 or beating X team week 9. It's about putting yourself in the best position possible to win. And I've spent a lot of this summer talking to guys, great players who tried to three-peat. And I'll have that story in SI in the magazine in August. But talked to multiple great players, some even in the Hall of Fame. And it was basically told, look, the hardest thing is just you play a lot more games than everybody else. Like, physically, you are worn down. And I think whether it's Pacheco or any other position on that team, if they can lighten the load, they really have to make an effort to do that.
Do you think they can be selective based on the level of opponent they might be playing week in and week out? Or do they just need to really decide that the games in the division, the games maybe in the conference you prioritize, but the most important thing is you want to have as fresh a leg as possible for January?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to say and do all the right things over the course of every week because they're pretty well versed in that. They've proven that over the years with Andy Reid. I absolutely think if I'm Andy this year and they're playing Denver and they're playing Carolina, and if the Raiders are really bad, fill in the blank with another team, I am trying to annihilate those teams in the first 20 minutes of the game. I am trying to get up 21, 28 points by halftime. I am playing an all-out attack style of football where I'm not like I'm trying to hold back some of my best scheme looks for the playoffs. I'm trying to hold back what they do every year, but I am doing everything I can, and I'm telling the guys throughout the course of the week, guys, we can have 24 points. You're coming out of the game. Like, you're coming out. We're going to play everybody. We don't care about stats. Doesn't matter who hits 1,000 yards. Like, if you've got incentives in your contract, we'll pay them. Don't worry about it. Like, we have to focus on keeping guys fresh. And I do. I think, look, if you're playing Denver and you're up 24, to 3 midway through the third quarter, even if you're not yanking guys, I'm like, yeah, Chris Jones is playing 40% of the snaps in that game. Like, I think if you're the Chiefs, that is a huge thing this year. The Bengals didn't play in playoff games last year. The Bills played a couple. You had to play 4. Miami obviously only played 1. The Chargers didn't play any. Like, Jacksonville didn't play any. Houston had to play a couple. Cleveland played 1. Pittsburgh played 0. That stuff matters. I mean, Mahomes has played an extra season's worth of games already in his career in the playoffs. So if I'm the Chiefs, I'm doing everything I can against weaker opponents to blow them out of the building before halftime and then put in my backups.
A few more minutes with Matt Verderame of Sports Illustrated and SI.com joining us here on 580 Sports Talk via the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline. You can also find him on Twitter where his handle is at Matt Verderame. Matt, who is a team that entering training camp is actually flying under the radar? We've gone through, you've seen them all offseason long. You get the list of best this position group or who's overrated, who's underrated, all of those. We saw one a couple of weeks ago that had a team like Green Bay listed as underrated. And I love all the hype for my Packers. However, nobody is underrating them. They are on everybody's radar going into this year with how last season ended. Who is a team that is actually under the radar heading into camp?
It's funny. I always have a hard time with this question this time of year because I feel like every single person is looking at every team going, well, maybe them. Maybe, I feel like there's like the only choices here that are real are like Denver and Carolina, and I'm not thinking of one of them. You know what? I'll go this route. I'll say that I think Washington is at least intriguing from this standpoint. Daniels is the kind of guy. Look, I think there's going to be a learning curve with every rookie. He is electrifying athletically, and if he can come along quickly in the pro passing game, that could be a very interesting offense. Like, you have McLaurin, you have the dynamicism of a Daniels. They rebuilt the offensive line this offseason. Like, that team, look, I don't think they're winning the division or anything. I don't think they're going to go out there and go 12-5. But they, Dan Quinn, they had a good offseason. They brought in guys like Frankie Louvu and Dorrance Armstrong. I always like when teams have off seasons like Washington. They didn't go out and do what they did forever with Dan Snyder. They didn't go out and sign Albert Hainsworth. And it's we fixed everything. They signed a bunch of really solid players. They brought Bobby Wagner. And at the end of his career, but he's still a good player, and he brings leadership. If Daniels is good right away, that division, they could get some wins in that. The Giants stink. The Cowboys are demonstrably worse than they were last year. And I don't know what's going on in Dallas. I don't think anybody does, including the Cowboys themselves. And then the Eagles, I got to tell you, I mean, you asked me earlier, like, what's the big headline you're looking at? If I didn't pick the Jets, the Eagles would have been the other one. Like, what is that? Like, what happens if the Eagles start 0-2? What happens in that city? I mean, do they just spontaneously combust? Is Sirianni fired after 2 games? So I think Washington could be an interesting team that maybe we're sitting here December 1st going, hey, maybe they're a wild card.
The Sirianni thing is so fascinating to me, Matt, because he came in a few years ago as, the hot new thing, gets them to the Super Bowl 2 seasons ago, and everybody loves the dude. Then last year, it all came unraveled when he walked down the tunnel in Kansas City yelling at Chiefs fans, which was the most 9-year-old after a bad Little League game thing I've ever seen from an NFL coach. It was extremely embarrassing, and it all fell apart from there. Like, how solid is his footing in Philadelphia? I've never seen a coach go from contender to hot seat that quickly without some sort of scandal.
Oh, I mean, listen, if they don't start out well, again, from that area of the country, believe me, if they're 0-1, there are going to be people calling up radio stations in Philly demanding he's fired. Now, those people don't make the choices, but people hear that stuff. And, look, if they're bad for, let's say, 6 games, you're week to week at that point with him. You're week to I don't think there's any question. They were 10-1 last year and finished 11-6 and got blown out by Tampa in a playoff game. It wasn't like they recovered and then they lost, but they got killed in those games. And so I do think there's a real world here with Philly where, look, Sirianni through his first couple of years there was never adversity. The first year they weren't expected to do anything. They snuck in the playoffs. They beat a bunch of bad teams. They got smoked by Tom Brady. Then they go to the Super Bowl. Everything works out great. They lose in the very end. The thing that would concern me with Sirianni long term is the mark of a good coach is when things aren't going well, you pull together. You figure it out. You get it on the right track. That team, I mean, that was like a grease fire that somebody dumped lacquer on. That thing was just so out of control. A couple weeks in, he's firing off, defensive coordinators. I don't have a whole lot of confidence that he's going to win back that room in any short order.
Matt Verderame covers the National Football League for Sports Illustrated, SI.com. Can also find him on That Football Show on KCSN. The Matt Verderame Show is his Patreon, and you can hear him Mondays here on 580 Sports Talk on the Fleming Place Wine Spirits Hotline. Matt, happy start of training camp week. We look forward to really digging into it once they get going for good and in earnest starting next week. Thanks for the time this afternoon.
Sounds good. Take care.
That is Matt Verderame, and that is our number 2 of this edition of 580 Sports Talk. Coming up at the 4 o'clock hour, we're already talking Big 12 expansion again. I can't believe it either, but we're already there. Florida State, Clemson, Big 12, collision course.
And I hate Clemson, man. I hate them.
We'll talk about it, plus a round of what is wrong with you and the top Big 12 football games of the upcoming season. That's all coming up for the Kansas Drive to Zero studio on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 3 of this Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Hope everybody is enjoying their Monday. Hope everybody's staying cool. It is a hot one in the capital city. 101 degrees. We're currently in a heat advisory. It is warm today. Hopefully you are staying cool, beating the heat, and enjoying this edition of 580 Sports Talk on 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online, worldwide at 580WIBW.com. You can also catch the video stream on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Click that subscribe button. You float over there. You find our channel. Doesn't cost you a dime. We love to see the number go up. We love to see you checking us out on the YouTube stream. You can get notified when we go live. Watch all of our live and archived programming on YouTube. You can also find us on Facebook, WIBW News on Facebook. Unfortunately, cannot find us on Twitter any longer. 580 Sports Talk is the Twitter handle, but we will tweet show previews and recaps from there and live tweeting sporting events, which we're back to covering those live here this fall, but no longer video streaming on YouTube. So if you want to watch the video, or excuse me, on Twitter, we are no longer video streaming on Twitter. So you can catch us video streaming on Facebook, WIBW News, and on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk. Those platforms remain free for us to stream on because the owner of those websites did not make a bad business deal as a joke and is now trying to buy his way out of it by getting the product of the website to pay for the privilege of being the product. Because the product of Twitter is the user. It's me. It's you. Without us, there is no website. And I'm not paying to be the product. Not over there anyway. Not that guy. He's got $44 billion to buy the website. He can pay for me to be a part of the website if he wants. So 580 Sports Talk again on YouTube or WIBW News on Facebook. The Top City Metal Supply text line is open. From construction sites to renovations, from the farm to the garage, Top City Metal Supply understands the value of precision and cost efficiency. No more wasted materials, no more wasted money. Just metal cut to the exact size you need. Top City Metal Supply is located on South Topeka Boulevard, just north of Forbes Field. The text line number, 785-272-9429. By the way, I am Dan Lucero. Trent Craxner across the glass, our producer engineer. Brendan Dworzinski will be back in a bit. Spencer Dupuis will be along later on. We'll have the gang all here for the 5 o'clock hour. Coming up later on the show today, got our first 2 What Is Wrong With You stories of the new week. We've also got a look at the top Big 12 football games of the year, according to On3. And, of course, in the 5 o'clock hour, we'll have our 580 Sports Talk headlines. We'll talk Home Run Derby. Bobby Witt Jr. is in the Derby tonight. You got to check it out. Think he'll win? What are the odds? Will it finally be a good TV event again? We can only hope. And Trenton Craxner's got a round of guys for us to try and name. We're going to play a second week of Name That Guy here on 580 Sports Talk in the 5 o'clock hour. Look forward to you joining that for us or with us. We're going to start this hour with a tweet from Jason Scheer of WildcatAuthority.com. That's part of the same 24/7 sports network, by the way, that employs our friend Tim Fitzgerald and GoPowerCat.com and Michael Swain of Fog.net. Jason Scheer, part of that 24/7 sports network. WildcatAuthority.com is their website. And he tweeted at 5:15 yesterday evening, according to sources, there is an internal belief in the Big 12 that Florida State and Clemson are likely to join the conference within the next year or so. And a tweet. So I understand if your gut instinct is to hear that and think, no way. Or to read that, maybe you read it on Twitter last night like I did, and you thought, yeah, right. But a couple of things here. First, this is the time of year when schools start to get a little antsy. If you can recall, this was the time of year when Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC broke. This is the time of year last year when we started really hearing the rumors that the Pac-12 was in much deeper trouble than anybody wanted to admit. So this has started to become not just what they like to call talking season with all of the media day events that go on, the Big 12 media day being last week. We've got the SEC media days starting today. ACC media days, I believe, are this week as well. I know they're this week. I just don't remember if they start today or tomorrow. By the way, there are like 5 different teams in the ACC. This is an aside, doesn't mean anything. There are 5 different teams in the ACC bringing 2 quarterbacks to media day. Trying not to give away the store on who their starter is going to be, I guess. Very strange. Anyhow, weird conference. It's not just talking season, though. It's become rumor season, rumor mongering season, and realignment season. Apparently, it has become.
It's a dog-eat-dog world.
It is. And you're either open for business, as the Big 12 has said they repeatedly are, or you're falling behind. You have to be, if you are in a leadership role in one of the major conferences, you have to be open to adding teams. And again, in the last round of realignment, the Big 12 solidified itself, even if it falls short of what we would consider the best 2 conferences in the country, the SEC and the Big 10. Certainly, the Big 12 was able to solidify itself and get better, make itself a better league with the additions of Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah. The only Power 4 league that did not get better, did not strengthen its position, was the ACC. Because there's no world in which you add Cal and Stanford and SMU and become a more valuable entity, become a better conference.
They're on they all are on the Atlantic coast, right? Why their conference is named that? They're all located in that area, right?
Yes. In fact, I believe that Berkeley is the Atlantic coast of the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, like
it's on the Atlantic side of the Pacific Ocean.
We're just barreling more and more towards a super conference.
Maybe there's like an Atlantic Street in Dallas where SMU is located.
No, we're barreling towards super conferences, and you don't want to be left on the outside.
No, you don't want to end up like the Pac-12. That's the unacceptable outcome. You do not want to end up like the Pac-12 where you no longer effectively exist, and if you ever exist again, it's not going to look like the way it used to look. So the heads of the SEC and the Big 10 and the Big 12 are doing themselves a disservice if they are not closely monitoring the situation going on with the ACC, where both Florida State and Clemson are bringing up litigation against the conference and exploring the possibility of getting out of their grant of rights, because the ACC's media deal stretches well into the 2030s, and it's not as lucrative as the ones that the SEC and the Big 10 have. And if you're a school in the ACC with designs on competing in football at a national level, you feel like you're falling behind with no chance in the short term to recoup some of that money and remain competitive in terms of revenue with the schools you're trying to beat out for a national championship in football. That's why it's Florida State and Clemson that are so urgent with this, because those are the 2 programs in the ACC that can most reasonably say we should be on the high end national championship contenders year in and year out. I think Miami might have used to be able to say that. I don't know that Miami can say that anymore. It's been a really long time since the U was the U, right? And North Carolina, I think, is a sleeping giant, but how committed are they to being great in football? Truly great. Truly doing what it takes to be great in football when they've already got such a strong basketball brand. It's Florida State and it's Clemson in that league. Those are the big dogs in football, which is the big dog of all of the sports and the sport that's moving all of these chess pieces. So you understand why Florida State and Clemson are antsy. You understand why they might be looking around. You would maybe think that the SEC would be a good fit, but there's a reason Greg Sankey keeps saying 16. We're focused on 16. We like our 16 teams. They're up to 16 with the addition of Texas and Oklahoma. You know who might be happy to add Florida State and Clemson and do it right away, do it as fast as possible? Certainly the Big 12 would be, because the upside for the Big 12 here is really easy to see. The Big 12 lacks a premier football brand. The Big 12 lacks a program that should, no questions asked, it does not need to take another step towards being a team that can go deep in the college football playoff and win a national championship, can be a nationally prominent program. The proof of concept is there for Florida State and Clemson. The proof of concept is not for any of the Big 12's football programs. Now, it's a power vacuum, like we've discussed. I think I've used that turn of phrase a couple of times. There's definitely a power vacuum in the Big 12 Conference that Utah or Kansas State or Kansas or Arizona or Oklahoma State could step into and fill if they start ripping off some league championships and winning some games in the college football playoff. But Florida State and Clemson have won national championships in the playoff era. They've done it. And if they came to the Big 12, either of them would be the biggest football brand and instantly increase the credibility of the Big 12 as a power football league. You get closer and closer to having to consider the Big 12 on the same level as a football conference as you consider currently the SEC and the Big 10. That's the upside for the Big 12. That's really easy to see. And I think the upside for Florida State and Clemson is pretty easy to see. You get out of a league with a media deal that stretches well into the 20s and 30s, a grant of rights that is not favorable. You get into a league, the Big 12, with a TV deal that expires in 2031. There's a reason that Brett Yormark didn't want a 15, 20-year TV deal. Yes, that would have been longer-term stability, but a shorter-term deal gives you the chance to add value and get back to the market sooner. Brett Yormark knew exactly what he was doing when he decided, yeah, we'll take that deal up to 2031. He knows that the landscape is very likely to change again, and then change again, and then change after that, and wanted to be in a position where renegotiating was possible and could be done faster. But this is the question that I have. This is, I think, the most important consideration and the worry that I would say that I have as the Big 12 considers this, because there's no way Brett Yormark isn't considering this possibility. Ross Dellinger at Yahoo Sports already said that there had been some early conversations about this possibility. So you already had that source coming out of Big 12 football media days last week. Certainly, Brett Yormark and company would consider the additions of Florida State and Clemson if they were to become free agents in that way. But how far would the Big 12 be willing to go to attract the brand? And the reason I have concern about that is because I'm a student of Big 12 history, and I know what it looks like when a conference is so beholden to one team and one brand, and they stake their financial security and they stake their long-term future on making one brand happy.
The Longhorn Network.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
It looks like the Longhorn Network. It looks like Texas. If the Big 12 bends the knee to Florida State and Clemson, and all of a sudden, yeah, we'll let them in the league, and as further enticement into the league and away from the SEC and the Big Ten, who might be also interested, and I think certainly over the long haul would be. What concessions are the Big 12 member schools willing to make? Are those concessions the same as Brett Yormark and company in the executive suite are willing to make to attract those schools? Because if you do bend the knee against the wishes of the other member conferences, then you generate resentment. And then those schools that come into the league, and maybe they're getting a bigger piece of the revenue pie than the rest of the schools in the conference. Or maybe right off rip, they get a bigger piece of the pie than the new schools coming in from the Pac-12 were able to access when they joined the league. Maybe you do more for Florida State and Clemson than you did for Arizona, Arizona State, Utah, and Colorado. And the argument might be that's good for business. But is it good for harmony? Is it good for unity? Is it good to introduce that element back into a conference that just started to feel like everybody was pulling on the rope in the right direction. That's the danger here, as I see it. The danger for the Big 12 is to make sure they get to a position where anybody who joins the league is not placed above the league. No matter how much the Big 12 could benefit from their addition, you can't put anybody above the rest of this group of schools that has joined the Big 12. This is, I firmly believe, a very harmonious conference. Nothing we have heard from the executive suites of any of the 16 schools, and certainly not from Brett Yormark and the Big 12 executive suite, would suggest otherwise. This is a group that is lockstep, that understands that their future right now is better together, that this group of 16 might be number 3 in the hierarchy, but has a chance to grow and build together and develop that national football brand. Because here's the thing about national football brands. It's not just the Blue Bloods. I can tell you this. When I was a kid growing up, and I'm old. I'm the old guy here now. I'm the old guy on the show. I'm not that old, right? I'm not to my 40s yet. I'm not that old. But I can remember when Oregon football being good was a shock to the system. I can remember Oregon football making the Rose Bowl being a shock, being out of nowhere. I remember the Achilles Smith Oregon Ducks. I remember before Nike got their hands on the uniforms. I remember those Oregon Ducks. Oregon is definitely a national football brand now. 30 years ago, that was not the case. Clemson is a national football brand now. I don't know that that was the case even 20 years ago. What changed? They started winning big games, started winning conference championships, started winning national championships. They were always on TV, always playing in the big games, had star players, and won big. That's how you build a brand. You win. The Big 12 will have access to this college football playoff. They get a team in guaranteed in the 12-team field every year. I don't know how often it's going to be much more than the one team, at least not at first. I have my concerns that this is going to turn into the SEC and Big Ten Invitational. But if the Big 12 can get a school into the playoff repeatedly, and that school does damage in the playoff repeatedly, wins marquee games in December and January, and those turn into marquee games that get on the schedule in September, when all of a sudden you're in demand to go play in those kickoff classic type events, and you're going to play an LSU or an Alabama or a Florida or a Ohio State, and you're playing one of those teams in prime time, week 1, week 2, instead of the 6th best team in the American. That's how you grow a brand. The opportunity is in front of the Big 12 to make from what was not a conference with a big football brand before some new ones. The opportunity is there for Utah. It's there for Kansas State. It's there for Arizona. It's there. I don't think they'll get there, but it's there for Colorado. It's there for everybody, right? All 16 teams, all 16 schools, I think, can feel with varying degrees of confidence that they can become the football brand in the Big 12. And maybe there's more than one that gets there. Maybe there's more than one. Maybe it's Kansas State and it's Utah. Maybe both of those teams this year are 11-1 going into the Big 12 championship game, and they play an instant classic, and both teams make the playoff, and both teams win a game in the playoff. Maybe one of them even wins 2. That's how you build a brand. Adding Florida State and Clemson would be a bit of a shortcut toward adding those sorts of brands that the Big 12 does need. It does need those kinds of teams, 100%. But I worry about how far the Big 12 would be willing to go. And if they went to an extent that would disrupt the harmony that this conference seems to have, which I think gives them a leg up, maybe even on the SEC, who's got, like, I think the upper crust of the SEC feels pretty good about where they're at, but I think you got a lot of schools in the SEC looking over their shoulder. I think you have a lot of schools in the SEC feeling like, are we long for this league? Are they going to dump us when they get a chance to poach the ACC? If you're Vanderbilt, if you're Mississippi State or Ole Miss, Do you feel like your spot in that league is safe? I don't think anybody should feel in the Big 12 like their spot is under siege. This is a harmonious group of 16 schools with an opportunity to build something new. And I wonder if that's the more prudent course of action for the long term. But don't get me wrong. I get why Florida State and Clemson would be attracted to the idea of joining the Big 12 because they would be the big dogs. They would be the most recognizable football brands in the league, and they'd have the best access to the most fertile recruiting ground in the country, the Southeast. Nobody else in the league would have better access to those players in Louisiana, in Florida, in Alabama, in Georgia. Nobody else in the league has better access to those guys than Florida State and Clemson would upon coming into the league. It'd be a huge advantage for them. And don't get it twisted. Jason Scheer of Wildcat Authority, he's well-sourced. If he's saying this, if he's willing to put his name on it and say it out loud on Twitter, it's worth taking seriously. So if he says there's an internal belief in the Big 12 that Florida State and Clemson are likely to join the conference, I believe it. Do I believe it's going to happen in the end? I'm not there yet. Do I believe it's what's best for the conference? I'm not there yet either. But there's smoke. And yeah, we're back on the realignment carousel, it would appear. I guess that's just part and parcel of the college sports offseason anymore, right? I mean, even the small, even like the Division III and Division II conferences realign every year now. It's just part of college sports now is the leagues are ever changing. But that was a fascinating report, certainly. And like I said, I trust Jason Scheer. I think he's one of the more trusted news sources in this league, and I would trust his sourcing on this. And that's different than me saying I'm prepared for Florida State and Clemson to join the league imminently. I don't think that's where we're at, but I certainly do think that if Jason Scheer is saying the Big 12's got some confidence in this, then the Big 12's got some internal confidence that this can happen. We're going to take a break here on 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, it's our first round of What Is Wrong With You for this new week of the month of July. That's coming up here on 580 Sports Talk. So what is wrong with you time here on 580 Sports Talk? 2 new stories to begin this week, and to answer Mark's question from the YouTube live chat. Yes, I am still laughing about Matthew Pancake. He is our champion from last week. Trenton, you missed the saga of Matthew Pancake. We'll have to catch you up off the air. But sometimes you run into a story and you know it's going to be your weekly champ and maybe your yearly champ. You run into the ones that you know are top contenders right off the rip, and we had one of those last week.
Luckily, that was the one show I listened to because that was last Wednesday.
Oh, so
we
you
listened
did-
on Drive Away.
You did catch
I did
it.
not hear the update, but
The update was it was 4 hamsters in his pants, not just 2.
what an elite name, though. Like, that's a top tier all time name, Matthew Pancake.
Of the Columbus Pancakes, yes. Yeah, it's still a really good story. But we've got 2 new stories, a brand new week. I've been doing a lot of talking, Trent, so I'm going to hand it off to you. You lead us off with your story today.
All right. So we got a man charged with disrupting high school graduation. A perp was stopped his daughter from shaking hands with the administration as she was crossing the stage.
Oh, wow.
So this takes us to the great state of Wisconsin. On June 6th is when this story came out. So it's a little bit while back, but I just found it today on one of our usual websites that we found. It just came out on this website. The Wisconsin man who rushed the stage at his daughter's high school graduation to keep her from shaking hands with a black administrator was charged today with disorderly conduct, according to court records. Matthew Eddy, 49, disrupted the May 31st ceremony at Baraboo High School moments after his daughter Elise's name was announced and she collected her diploma and began shaking hands with school officials. In a police interview, Eddy claimed that he and his daughter had past issues with Rainey Briggs and disliked the Baraboo School District superintendent. Eddy stated he wanted to prevent Briggs from having the satisfaction of shaking his child's hand, so he went to the stage to prevent that from happening.
What?
Asked if he was remorseful for disrupting the ceremony, Matthew stated he was, but only for his child's sake, according to the complaint. Eddy explained that he felt Briggs treated him and his child unfairly and unprofessionally during a prior educational administrative proceeding, which resulted in a negative educational consequence for his child. The court filing does not further detail this proceeding. In a June 5th interview, Briggs told police that Eddy grabbed his shoulder and pushed him backwards, saying that he was not going to touch his child.
Bleeping.
Yeah.
Bleeping.
yeah.
4-letter word, yeah.
Briggs told investigators that he did not believe he knew who Matthew was until the incident. As seen in the video of the event, Eddy darted out from the audience, bounded up 6 steps to the stage, and shoved Briggs off the receiving line before the administrator, the only black person on the stage, could congratulate the teenage graduate. The ceremony was briefly derailed by the actions of Eddy, who was dressed to the nines in a Nike polo shirt and a ball cap on top of which his sunglasses rested. Briggs is seeking a restraining order against Eddy, who was confronted backstage last week by Brennan Meyer, a school resource officer with the Baraboo Police Department. Eddy was named in a criminal complaint charging him with disorderly conduct, a Class B misdemeanor, punishable up to 90 days in jail, and a maximum $1,000 fine. Eddy's initial circuit court appearance is scheduled for August 14th. His bond is set at a whopping $150.
Oh, yeah. Big bond.
Eddy and his wife, Kelly, and the couple's 2 children live outside Baraboo in the village of North Freedom on a 10-acre property. In a statement, the school district said that did not condone threatening, intimidating, or physically harming behaviors against anyone in our school district community. Without naming Eddy, the officials added that this adult felt emboldened to behave in this way in front of hundreds of students and other adults to deeply trouble us all. This type of behavior will not be tolerated.
So, yeah, he bum rushed the stage at graduation and decided that his daughter was not going to shake the superintendent's hand. It's a handshake. And we don't know both sides of the story here. We don't know what the prior educational administrative proceeding was that so upset Mr. Eddy that related to his daughter. But I am sure it couldn't have been that severe because she got to graduate, right? She got to walk.
Right. And
it couldn't have been that bad.
It's such a impactful moment in a young person's life. Everyone always remembers that type of event, you know, and now she's always going to be like, if they have like a 10-year reunion, it's like, remember her dad at our graduation? Like it's almost embarrassing.
Yeah. Remember when her dad physically accosted the superintendent during graduation?
Like it's had to be so bad for her image, right? And the community.
I would imagine so. Yeah. You got it. Again, we don't know. We don't know all the details, but I'm fairly comfortable in saying there are some things you just got to let ride. It's a 2-second handshake. and then you can grumble about it. Remember, you don't remember. This is before your time. This is the 1996 NHL Western Conference Finals. In Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals, Claude Lemieux hit Chris Draper from behind, and Chris Draper's face was mangled, like very badly injured. He had to be escorted off the ice with several hours of emergency surgery. It was a dirty hit. Lemieux got suspended for the first 2 games of the Stanley Cup Final. Anyway, after the game, you know what they do at the end of a hockey series, right? The series ends, and the 2 teams shake hands.
Yeah.
Everybody went to the handshake line without incident, and then afterwards, the Red Wings all complained about it. Dino Ciccarelli had one of the most famous quotes in the history of sports when he said, "I can't believe I shook that guy's friggin' hand after the game." But you know what? You go ahead and you say that on the drive home. I can't believe we shook that guy's friggin' hand. He's a jerk. He did this to us. I can't believe we had to shake his hand. But hey, congratulations, babe. Otherwise, everything went off without a hitch. And let's go to Perkins.
There's a time and place for all that.
Time and place, exactly. And that was not it. Anyway, that's one story today. Second story today, we're going to Williamsport, Pennsylvania. 2 women working at Arby's concocted a scheme to steal thousands of dollars in roast beef from the restaurant. 21-year-old Shania West and 63-year-old Stephanie Davis of Williamsport are now facing felony charges for allegedly stealing more than $3,000 worth of food and drinks from the store. Here's what Trooper Dylan Hauser said happened. In July of 2023, owner Linda Ray contacted police after discovering a discrepancy in the roast beef log sheets over the previous few months. Initially, she believed the roast beef wasn't being measured properly or was being wasted. She later discovered West and Davis were slicing the beef and hiding it in a non-working oven before putting it in the trash. Manager Kevin Morrison told police the company policy states employees can take home leftover sliced beef at the end of a shift with permission. I did not know that. That's kind of a nice perk working at Arby's. You take the leftovers home. I'm sure they store fine. If they haven't been sitting under the heat lamp all day, you bag them up, get them in the fridge, eat roast beef sandwiches at home.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No. During one shift, Morrison watched as West and Davis sliced a large amount of beef that was then thrown out at the end of the night. However, West seemed eager to take out the trash. After she had taken the bags out, Morrison searched them and realized the extra roast beef was gone. Investigators say West and Davis had been taking the bagged roast beef from the garbage bags at the end of their shifts for months, resulting in a loss of $2,800 worth of roast beef. They also discovered through surveillance video the pair had taken 143 drinks, 16 food items, and 49 other things. Other is in air quotes. What do you think they're taking from the Arby's that are other things?
Napkins,
Straws?
forks, yeah, like just like condiments, maybe like sauces. I don't know.
Packets of horsey sauce?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it probably was a lot of different things that is grouped into other.
Well, I would think that would go under food items. Like I would think, okay, 16 food items, like okay, 12 packs of like horsey sauce and like maybe 4 of the cups of the Red Ranch. Ever get the Red Ranch at Arby's? Good stuff. I'm
not gonna lie, not a big fan of Arby's. Not my taste.
That's so all right. I've come around on Arby's over the years. The curly fry is undefeated. I do want like the other thing. Steal a chair, like I don't know, boost some toilet paper. Like what in the world are you stealing from the Arby's? The total amount they allegedly stole was worth $3,495. Each are charged with felony theft and conspiracy to commit theft. I want to know how this 21-year-old woman and this 63-year-old woman got together and decided we're going to defraud the Arby's.
Yeah, I think the age discrepancy between the two suspects is one of the better parts of the story. Because
yes.
That's like someone, that's like me who's going out with my dad and saying, you know what? We're going to rob the Arby's today.
Yes, but like that would be a father-son activity. Like
right.
we don't have, at least on paper, on the surface, this connection between the 21-year-old West and the 63-year-old Davis. I don't have any idea how it would come to a point where like those two would decide, hey, yeah, we're gonna steal the roast beef.
Are they like selling it on the side, like on the black market? Like, you know what I mean? Like, are they like, hey, we got official Arby's roast beef over here.
Hey. We have the meat now. We have the meat now. So that one wins today. I've just decided.
No doubt.
Yeah, the roast beef thieves are going to be. I guess it's thieves. Roast beef thieves rhymes, but roast beef.
We have the thieves.
We have the thieves. That's good. We're gonna go with that. That's gonna be our winner today on What Is Wrong with You. When we come back, Spencer Dupuis will join us. We're going to talk about the best Big 12 games on the football schedule for this coming season here on 580 Sports Talk. .445 and the gang's all here on 580 Sports Talk. Brendan Dworzinski back. Spencer Dupuis in. Trenton Craxner, our summer intern across the glass. Hi, guys. It's getting lonely in here.
Seems like we missed a great What Is Wrong With You.
You did. You really did. Matthew Pancake could be hard to knock off, but to a 63-year-old woman and a 21-year-old woman conspiring to steal $3,000 worth of roast beef from an Arby's over a period of months.
Why not steal good food?
They did.
Disagree.
They stole Arby's roast beef. Now, maybe they should have stolen more curly fries. It's true.
I have an outstanding take that if your best food option is your fries, you're not a good restaurant.
All right.
I would agree.
Like, if you can't give me a good entree, I mean, go do something else.
All right.
Go pro in something other than restaurateurship.
I'm going to counter with, I believe that the signature item at local eatery, the Burger Stand, is their French fries. But I also think they have outstanding burgers. I mean, burger is in the name. I just think their fries are the best part of the eating experience.
That's still on my list to try.
No,
It's very good.
You should try.
Is McDonald's fries the best option at McDonald's?
No, I never get the fries at McDonald's.
What's wrong with you?
You got to get multiple burgers.
Yeah,
is the
multiple
play.
sandwiches,
Like
yeah.
a lot of fast food places, that is the play.
Like,
Like
if
you've
you
got to
wanna-
go burger, or sandwich. You don't. You cut out the fries. Like I haven't eaten Burger King fries in a decade.
If you want to really fill up and eat as cheaply as possible, the meal I get at McDonald's is a couple double cheeseburgers and a couple McChickens.
Yeah,
Because
'cause it's-
McChickens are also cheaper than getting nuggets.
Now, do you know about the secret McDonald's item when you combine a McDouble and a McChicken? But that's a different topic.
I've done it many times.
We're not going to
Let's
talk
just
about
say that. I've done that many times.
But also now I'm pretty sure they're running like a BOGO for double cheeseburgers.
I'll buy 4.
So you buy one and you get one
That's-
for $1.
that's a lot
no,
of-
it's not free. It's for
That's a lot
it's
of
$1.
bun. Is my concern with your or that's a lot of bun. That's rich in bunly goodness.
I got
Yeah,
insulin. We're good. I'm living.
It's a lot of bun. You scrap one of the buns and just go quad cheeseburger and double McChicken.
Could
There
do
was
that.
a while
Get
there
the
where
buns
they
out?
did have a triple cheeseburger. I don't
They
know if
did,
that's
yeah.
still a thing.
I like the bun, though. I like bread.
Their new buns, I will say, are a lot better than their old ones.
They have new ones.
Who's got new buns?
I don't know if they do something different to them.
Jenna Kepka.
McDonald's.
BBL Greasy.
Yeah, Aubrey Graham.
We got a texter from the 785 in the Top City Metal Supply text line shouting out the Smokehouse brisket sandwich at Arby's. Good choice. I give that one the silver medal. Gold medal goes to the buffalo chicken wrap. Really good.
Hope you have a big old toilet.
Speaking of
Hope you got that
brisket,
power flush.
Speaking of brisket, another topic for another day down the road this week. Place for me to eat with my girlfriend on Saturday in KC.
Oh yeah, we'll
We'll do
hook you
that later
We'll-
on.
we'll hook you. We will not steer you wrong.
Yeah.
We'll take care of you. We will not steer you wrong.
Mark on YouTube says Arby's is good, Brendan. Just because you don't like it, don't disrespect it. I have full respect for anyone who likes Arby's. It's
Yes,
it's bad.
He sits across from me.
It's gross.
And we have differing Arby's
Yeah,
opinions.
no personal disrespect. I ate it once when one of my best friends got married, and he loves Arby's, and we went on a trip, all the guys together to Tennessee earlier this spring. We all said, all right, Matt, we will get Arby's with you. And we did, and that was nice. And I never need to eat it again, and I never will.
Remember the Simpsons gag? It was when they did the Lord of the Flies episode. Basically, the bus crashes on the way to the Model UN, and they end up stranded on the island. And
I'm
one
so
of the
hungry.
twins, I'm so hungry, I could eat at Arby's.
And everyone gasps. Yeah.
No, I used to laugh at that, but no, I used to be a hater. I am no longer a hater. I'm back in on Arby's.
I'm a hater.
I'm back in on the curly fries.
I think I told you.
Let me
guys
just
this.
say I'm the biggest hater.
Here's a recommendation for the Reuben from the 785.
Absolutely not. I appreciate
I'm
you
not a big-
thinking of us, but no.
I'm not a big Reuben guy. I don't like the sauerkraut so much. Like I like
Wow.
a corned beef sandwich, but like not a big sauerkraut on sandwich guy.
What an attack on the entire country of Poland that is.
Is that what that is?
Well, at least my dad. My dad will intentionally go somewhere and say, and I'm not kidding, I've heard him say this, extra kraut, please. It's extreme. I can't do it.
The Big 12 Conference. It's going to be an exciting one in football this coming year. The website On3 ranked the top 10 conference games of the 2024 season. I don't know if this was a collaborative effort or if this is just writer Jesse Simonton who ranked the top 10 games. We'll run them down.
I assume it's just him because it says
Per Jesse Simonton. Yeah, I guess the graphic answered my question for me. Didn't read the fine print, doofus. Anyhow, top 10 games of the Big 12 this season. I'll run them down from 10 to 1. Number 10, Oklahoma State at Colorado. That's that game is in November. That is November 29th. Number 9, Arizona at UCF, November 2nd. I don't know how much that's going to impact the conference title race, but it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
I bet the over on that game. I can promise you that. Number 8, West Virginia at Oklahoma State, October 5th. Number 7, KU at West Virginia, September 21st.
Why?
here's what he says.
The last time they played, KU won by 13 in overtime, which
Yeah,
is almost impossible.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Did you guys see what he said on the website?
What to
No.
say about that game?
The Jayhawks opened Big 12 play on the country roads of West Virginia, and a victory in Morgantown could seriously kickstart a run towards a storybook 10-win season and a potential spot in the conference title game.
Nah, that's flimsy. I'm handing it. If this was America's Got Talent, I'm giving you the big red X or whatever they do. Yeah, that's a no for me. There's a better KU games than that one.
Number 6 is Farmageddon. Number 5 is the Holy War. I think Farmageddon's going to be a much better game than the Holy War. The Holy War,
Probably.
though, like I love Farmageddon. The Holy War is much nastier.
They
than
hate each
Farmageddon.
other a lot.
Like Holy War. Like that's not an undersell.
And now it's a conference game.
The game is nasty. Number 4, Arizona at Utah. Now we're into the games I think will decide the conference. Arizona at Utah, September 28th. The same weekend is Oklahoma State at K-State. That's number 3. Number 2 is Sunflower Showdown, October 26th. And number 1, Utah at Oklahoma State, September 21st. I believe that is the conference opener for both teams. The conference schedule is front-loaded for the Big 12. I don't know how I feel about that.
I will also tell you this. Utah got a pretty nice draw for their first year in the Big 12.
They did.
I'm going to tell you that right now.
No, they did.
They had Baylor at home. That game is week 2, in fact. Oklahoma
That's
State.
not a conference game.
That's not conference. Okay.
That's like K-State, Arizona this year.
Makes sense. They'll win that game by 80 anyway. Oklahoma State on the road, that's obviously going to be difficult. Arizona at home, that's going to be tough. Arizona State, TCU, Houston, BYU, Colorado, Iowa State, UCF. Like, who's the third toughest team on that schedule? Iowa State?
Them or UCF.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really favorable schedule for Utah for their first year in the Big 12.
Yeah, they did. They definitely caught some breaks. I think of these games, the one that I think will be the most important, the two that I think are most important is Oklahoma State right out of the gate, goes back-to-back, Utah at home, K-State on the road, and how they fare in those games, like maybe another 3-way tiebreaker situation. Hopefully the rules on that are a little clearer this time around.
Hopefully.
I don't know, but
I forgot about that nonsense.
yeah, wasn't that some bull stuff last year?
I'm going to tell you this right now. Am I going to predict this exactly happens? No, but I would not be remotely shocked if Oklahoma State beat both Utah and K-State and then laid the biggest ostrich-looking egg of all time at home against West Virginia. If that is not late-stage Mike Gundy, I don't know what is.
No, that's a fact.
Remember when they lost by 50 to UCF last year?
Yes, they did. That was the thing that happened, and very nearly tricked off the BYU game at home.
Should have lost that game to BYU at home. So, yeah, that would not surprise me at all. That's why I don't think this conference – I think the chance of getting 2 teams in the college football playoff is going to be very difficult because I think these teams are all really close together in terms of the talent gap and the coaching gap for that matter. And I think there's going to be a lot of cannibalization pretty much from teams like 1 through 8, I think could all eat each other alive, honestly, even though I think 5 are the clear top echelon.
2 points I want to make before we break for the top of the hour. Number 1, I want to double back to that idea that the conference is so front loaded. I don't know how I feel about that, but it should provide an early season spotlight to the Big 12. And if somebody comes out of there with a signature win, like if Oklahoma State comes out of it 2-0, or Utah comes out of it 2-0, or K-State comes out of it with a big win over Oklahoma State, that's going to do a lot for their national profile for the rest of the season and could ultimately help their playoff hopes if they have a big resume building win early. Other question I have for you real quick. If Arizona and K-State were a conference game, where would you put it on this list?
Top 3.
I'd go top 5.
Yeah, I think I'd go top 5. I think I'm more. I'd even put it ahead of the Utah game.
If you put it as like the first game of the season, it'd be top 5. Depending on how things shake out, maybe it'd be in the top 3 if it was one of the last few games.
It's going to be one of the best. It will be the best non-Big 12 Big 12 game this season. I think we can all agree on that.
Yes.
That's going to do it for the 4 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk. In the 5 o'clock hour, we've got our sports headlines. We're going to talk home run derby. We're going to play Name That Guy here in the Kansas Drive to Zero studio. So stick with us through the national and local news. We'll be back for one more hour of 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Final hour of the day here on 580 Sports Talk. Glad you're with us. Hope you're staying cool on this steamy, hot Monday afternoon. Dan Lucero, Brendan Dworzinski, Spencer Dupuis in the studio, Trenton Craxner, our summer intern, fresh off of his excursion to the Great White North of Canada. Across the glass, our producer engineer today. Thanks for being with us on 580 WIBW FM 104.9, 580WIBW.com, and our video stream on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk, and on Facebook, WIBW News. One more hour of the program today. Still lots of headlines to get to. We're going to talk a little home run derby tonight. That's the only sporting event that's televised tonight, to the best of my knowledge. I don't want to say real sports, because then I'm going to offend somebody who's going to come in and say, actually, sir, there's a PBR rodeo going on tonight on CBS Sports Network, or are there WNBA games? I don't know. So I'm not going to say real sports. Obviously, that would be
For which day are you looking, Dan?
I'm looking for tonight.
For tonight, there is no WNBA.
Okay.
Tomorrow, there are 4 games, including 2 during the All-Star game.
Okay.
Wednesday, there are also 2, including 1 at noon. There's a WNBA game tomorrow at 10:30.
Cool.
a.m.
That's interesting. Who's playing?
Mercury and Mystics.
Okay.
They did a noon game last week. The Mystics played somebody last week I saw on Twitter.
I kind of appreciate them steering into the degenerate demographic, like people who need to be watching sports at 10:30 in the morning. We have something for you.
Man, I love live sports at odd times. I loved getting up early yesterday, and we had the final round of the Evian Championship in the women's professional golf. We had a final round of the major, and then right into the final round of the Scottish Open all morning. It was great. I watched golf and I held my kid. It was awesome.
Did you watch the ACC at all?
Did I watch the what?
American Century?
No.
Oh.
No, I watched the competitive golf with the good golfers.
Is the American Century Live Golf?
No, the American Century is the celebrity golf tournament out in Lake Tahoe.
No, I
didn't know. Your boy Aaron Rodgers has been going for 20 years or something.
I had no idea what it was called, to be honest with you. I did not know that.
You told me, yeah, you've got the abbreviation down and everything.
I really don't like golf. Okay, there's Summer League tonight.
Yes, there is. Lots of Summer League.
In fact, so that just started, the Thunder and the Heat. If you wanted, you could catch the final innings of some New England Collegiate Baseball League action. That's on tonight.
Okay. Are you looking at ESPN Plus?
Yeah, I'm on the Plus right now. Oh, there's a lot of Summer League on tonight.
There's also a certain political thing happening tonight, too.
Yeah, I wonder
if
there some professional leagues try to stay out of the way of the televised. Well, this isn't the big night of the Republican National Convention, but it's a night of it.
First night.
I am very tuned out of that particular form of civic underndstanding.
I was just looking at the guide on my YouTube TV, so I was just
okay. Yeah,
I know we're going to talk about the draft here in a moment. To segue into the sports headlines, but did you know that the guy that starred in? Did you guys watch Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yes,
seen it. Yeah.
The guy that starred in it, Johnny Depp. Yeah.
Red Sox selected outfielder Will Turner from South Alabama. So
that's funny.
Was it Oliver Bloom, right, that played him, or Orlando Jordan?
Orlando
Bloom. Okay.
Katy Perry's husband.
Yes, drafted in the 7th round. So.
This is just becoming a big segment of I don't really know what's going on in the world
I'm
around
almost certain Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom are married.
No. Well, vaguely
they're not familiar.
Married, they're partners.
Vaguely familiar with the idea of that being a thing. Anyhow, let's get back to some sports. There's not much
frankly,
going on in the sports world tonight, but the home run derby is tonight. Bobby Witt Jr.'s in it, so that'll be fun. We'll talk about that, and we will play a rousing round of Name That Guy, a Trenton Craxner production, starring the panel guests Dan Lucero, Brendan Dworzinski, and Spencer Dupuis.
Charles Nelson Riley not here today.
The reigning winner, Spencer Dupuis.
All right, Spencer, we're taking your ass out today.
Look, I know I'm probably going to lose today. That is why I'm trying to soak it in as much as possible.
Fair is fair. Let's start with our 580 Sports Talk headlines, gentlemen, shall we? As I try to pull the reins a little bit on this program. Let's start with the Major League Baseball entry draft. Of course, last night, Kansas City Royals had 2 picks in the first 2 rounds of the draft with the number 6 overall pick. Took two-way standout Jack Caglione from Florida, the John Olerud Award winner for the best two-way player in the country. Hit 35 home runs at the plate, struck out 83 batters in 74 innings on the mound. The Royals intend to give Caglione an opportunity to be a two-way player as a professional, at least according to Caglione's introductory press conference last night. Kansas City's second-round pick was left-handed pitcher David Shields out of Mount Lebanon High School in Pennsylvania. Just 17 years old, went 5-0 with a .25 ERA. His senior year was the Gatorade Baseball Player of the Year for the state of Pennsylvania. In today's rounds, the Royals drafted the following players. In the third round, they took Tennessee right-handed pitcher Drew Beam. The fourth rounder, they took a Canadian right-handed pitcher L.P. Langevin from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. Another Tennessee pitcher in the fifth round, right-hander A.J. Causey. In the sixth round, another pitcher, right-hander Tanner Jones from Texas A&M. In the seventh round, yet another pitcher, Dennis Colleran from Northeastern in Massachusetts. In the eighth round, stop me if you've heard this before, they took a right-handed pitcher, Nick Conti from Duke. In the ninth round, catcher Canyon Brown from North Carolina A&T.
What about Canyon?
What about him? What about Raven?
Oh, which one am I confused?
Canyon was the innovator of offense.
No, I know. What
Raven?
No, I know that's Ravens. Continue.
10th round, they changed up, went with a left-handed pitcher, Nate Ackenhausen from LSU. Lots of local players, local collegiates selected today. 2 K-Staters off the board today, 3 total. Last night, Caitlin Culpepper, the standout shortstop for the Wildcats, went number 21 overall. Just the second first-round pick in the history of K-State's baseball program. He is the highest drafted position player in program history. Also drafted out of K-State, Tyson Neighbors, their star closer. He went in the fourth round, 118 overall to San Diego. Jackson Wentworth also selected in the fifth round today, the 158th overall pick by Toronto. And Brady Day, almost forgot about Brady, but he went in the 10th round today, number 312 overall. He goes to the Philadelphia Phillies.
Was who better than Canyon?
Who's better than Canyon?
Yeah.
The answer was nobody. Yeah.
R.I.P. Chris Canyon.
Speaking of, there's WWE on tonight. Texter from the Top Females Fly text line.
That's true.
Wanted
There's
me to point out.
tonight.
Yeah.
Ball knower.
Monday Night Raw. 2 KU Jayhawks were drafted today. First time KU's had a player drafted since 2019, I believe.
I believe you were correct about that. Yeah.
Been a minute for the Jayhawks to have a player have their name called. 2 of them today. Hunter Cranton goes number 91 overall. The pitcher goes in the third round to the Seattle Mariners. And Cody Shojinaga goes in the 6th round to Philadelphia, 192nd overall pick. So the Phillies take a Jayhawk and a Wildcat. One Wichita State Shocker drafted as well. Caden Favors, pitcher to Cleveland, with the 165th overall pick in the 6th round. The final 10 rounds of the draft take place tomorrow, rounds 11 through 20.
First headline for me today. I don't know how much time you guys spent watching the soccer yesterday. There was a lot of it. In fact, there's always soccer. There's always some tournament I've never heard of going on all the time. Can't wait for the Nations League to begin tomorrow. I'm sure it will. I can't wait for some other Copa something to begin the day after that. But last night was the Copa America final in Miami at Hard Rock Stadium. And what a disaster. Beyond that is not even close to a strong enough word for what happened. Nope. Essentially, a bunch of fans without tickets bum rushed the gates and climbed over them. They climbed up the spiral walkway. They climbed over various other walls and enclosures to get into the stadium. They delayed the start of the game by, an hour at least?
An hour and a half?
Yeah, over an hour. And people were just sitting in seats. Folks with legitimate tickets then walked in, got to their seat, section 101, row D, seat 2, and there was someone already there. And then they would go to security and say, hey, pal, someone's in my seat. And security said, well, I'm not going to do anything about that. What am I supposed to do? Well, kick them out. You're security. Except the whole damn crowd was these people. I know someone who was turned away. They had a security guard tell them, sorry, man, you ain't getting in tonight, who had a real ticket to get into the game.
Well,
it was outrageous.
Later on, they started kicking people out.
They did start once the actual match had started. Security came around and was asking for people to show their tickets. Folks who didn't have them were eventually escorted out of the game as best as they could. but a truly crazy scene. It has inevitably caused a lot of not weird, but a lot of commentary from people both internationally and like the most obnoxious Americans, saying this is proof that America's not ready to host the World Cup. Oh, yeah, because nothing has ever been held at Hard Rock Stadium and been held properly before by the NFL, every single concert venue or like concert promoter in America, Major League Soccer, and tons of other organizations. No. It's definitely not CONMEBOL's fault. Definitely not their fault that they're a sham Ponzi organization, and that's why this was screwed up. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I'm getting new information. It was absolutely CONMEBOL's fault. This is on the idiot fans and the organization. This is not on the U.S. or Miami or Hard Rock Stadium.
27 arrests and 55 ejections from the stadium on Sunday, according to Miami-Dade police. Also, at around 12:20 a.m. this morning, a father and son, Ramon Jesurun, and his son, Ramon Hamil Jesurun, tried to access the field and ended up fighting multiple security guards and getting arrested for 3 felony counts of battery each. Oh, by the way, Ramon Jesurun is the president of Colombia's Football Federation.
Yep.
I mean, it's a joke.
Soccer's wild, man.
Did you see them
ridiculous.
trying to get into the air ducts?
Yeah, people were trying to climb into air ducts. They destroyed an entire escalator in the club level of the stadium. It's ridiculous.
You did not have enough safety measures. You did not have enough security. Clearly not. Just total breakdown in responsibility all the way around. And yes, it starts with the people who staged the event. It's very little to do with the sport, very little to do with Hard Rock Stadium, just everything to do with the people who staged this event. They were not prepared for this crush of people, which is the kind of thing that is happening. Like this happened at the Champions League final 2 years ago. The same thing happened in Paris.
Please do not look into any background information on Alejandro Dominguez, the president of CONMEBOL. Please do not look into possibly where he went to college.
Oh, is that right?
That's all I'm going to say. Please do not look any further into that.
By the way, there was a game eventually last night. Argentina defeating Colombia 1-0.
In extra time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Long game, long night.
Messi got hurt.
Yeah.
His ankle looked.
Yeah, he was not
That's
feeling
the biggest
feeling
ankle
good.
I've ever seen.
Yeah.
All right, Spencer, you got a headline for us?
Yes. As the weeks go by, we keep hearing more and more about the official title, Holiday Touchdown, the Christmas movie, Chiefs love story. We've got a new addition to the cast. Kelsey's joining the cast. Donna Kelsey will star as the manager of Kansas City barbecue restaurant Norma and Nick's.
They're like the first family of America at this point.
Yeah.
The Kelseys are.
Get those checks.
I'm serious. I'd asked Matt Derek on Friday, why aren't you in this movie? Why? We should see Matt. We should see Nate Taylor. We should see Matt Verderame. We should see us in this movie, frankly.
Frankly, we should be in the movie. I
mean, one of Dan's friends is the sports talk host in KC's in the movie.
Yeah, my good buddy Alex Gold at 610. He's going to be in the movie.
That's
He's going to be an
Gold's
extra. Yeah.
Former 580 sports talk host.
Yes. I really feel like sports talk host in that movie talking about the Chiefs is a part I was born to play, honestly.
Look, they should do that. They should have like they're in a restaurant or in a store or something or in the car and they're just talking about the Chiefs game.
Yeah, that would be natural.
Would be so smart.
You think Mitch is going to be in the movie at all?
I hope.
I hope they have their kiss in the final 30 seconds and he goes, touchdown!
Kansas City.
Yeah, I need that. I need Mitch Holthus in this movie.
Have to have it.
Yes. We'll have to ask him when he starts coming on the show, right?
Yes.
Yeah, next week.
Absolutely.
I believe next week.
29th.
29th. All right.
Is the start of the training camp updates with our good pal Mitch Holthus. Next headline for me, we've got the All-Star Game starting lineups made official. It will not be Seth Lugo starting on the mound for the American League. Corbin Burns of the Baltimore Orioles gets the nod to start the game on the mound. The rest of the starting lineup for the American League, Stephen Kwan of the Guardians will lead off in left field, followed by Baltimore's Gunnar Henderson at short and New York's Juan Soto in right. Aaron Judge of the Yankees will bat cleanup and play center field. Houston's Jordan Alvarez is the DH. Cleveland's Jose Ramirez at third. Batting seventh, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. of the Blue Jays at first base. Adley Rutschman, the Baltimore catcher, bats eighth. Texas's second baseman Marcus Semien will bat ninth. For the National League, leading off will be their second baseman, Arizona's Ketel Marte. LA's Shohei Ohtani will DH and bat second. Philadelphia's Trey Turner, their red-hot shortstop, bats third, followed by his Phillies teammate Bryce Harper, the first baseman, hitting cleanup. The catcher is Milwaukee's William Contreras. He'll bat fifth. Milwaukee's Christian Yelich bats sixth in right field. Philadelphia third baseman Alec Boehm batting seventh. Los Angeles Dodgers center fielder Teoscar Hernandez, and he is a center fielder for this game and this game only. Let's be very clear.
Yeah.
He will bat eighth, and then batting ninth will be San Diego left fielder Jurickson Profar on the mound for the National League, as previously announced, Pittsburgh's Paul Skeens.
I think the American League is going to win.
I do too.
That's generally a pretty good bet. The American League has dominated the All-Star game in recent memory, though the National League did win last year. Anybody remember who the MVP of last year's All-Star game was?
Elias Diaz.
Elias Diaz.
Go ahead,
Colorado
home run
Rockies.
of the eighth, right?
That's right, off of Felix Bautista.
Who? No, I'm just kidding. Baltimore closed that's hurt. Just kidding.
You going to watch tonight? The Derby?
The Derby? Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll watch the Derby for sure. I'm trying to
Have
find
they announced the pairings yet? Like
There is
bracket?
no pairing. They just
It's just top four.
It's a round of 8. They take the top 4, and then there's a pairing.
Oh,
There's pairings in the second round, yeah.
So the American League leads the all-time series 47, 44, and 2. There have been 2 ties. 4, 5, 6, 7. It was 9 consecutive wins for the American League. That streak snapped last year by the NL's 3-2 victory. It used to be that the National League won this thing every year. Like, you go back to the 60s and 70s, the National League won every year from 1963 to they won every year from 1960 to 1962. And this is back when they used to have 2 All-Star games a year, which they did for a brief period of time.
Yeah, what is it? Willie Mays has like 23 years, 25 All-Star games or something.
Something like that, yeah. So the National League won a bunch in a row from 63 to 70, lost in 71, then won every year from 72 to 82. So it used to be the National League dominated this. And the reason for that is because the National League famously was the first league that like really integrated, not just like in a technical sense with Jackie Robinson, but the National League was the first league to go like all in on integration. And the Black Stars of the National League noticed. I remember reading about this, and I didn't know this. This was kind of hidden history until I read the biography of Hank Aaron that Howard Bryant wrote.
Mm-hmm.
And like Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, that generation of National League stars, many of whom were Black, really took this game personally.
Yeah.
And really, really, like, back when this was the only time you would see the National League play the American League, everybody kind of took it personally. But the National League, for a period of about 30 years there, really took it personally that they wanted to beat the American League because they saw the American League as being sort of the status quo antebellum, if you will. And that's why the National League dominated for so long. Now it's just kind of a fluke deal that the American League dominates the way that it does.
Where are we on this game doesn't matter
Well, no, it doesn't matter.
anymore?
Oh,
It
it's
didn't.
good. No, it's very good.
Okay.
Yeah, very good.
Oh, yes. Not deciding home. Yes, it was nonsense.
We don't talk enough about how Bud Selig should be in prison forever.
But no, he's in the Hall of Fame. And
Rat.
Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa and Roger Clemens aren't. But Bud Selig is.
Rat-faced liar.
Pete
Without
Rose.
without Bud Selig, no, Pete Rose is scum. He doesn't
Pete
belong.
Rose doesn't belong either.
Yeah, he's kind of
Okay, that's a discussion for a different day.
It is not the Baseball Hall of Fame's fault that Pete Rose can't read.
and
If you like,
was sleeping with 15-year-olds while he was an active major league player. There's
that's
that
also
too.
true. But for the gambling part of it, like, it's like NFL players who get suspended now. You like the NBA, you're not allowed to gamble at all. Football players are allowed to gamble. Like, you can do it as much as you want as long as it's not on an NFL game or in a team building. And dudes still get caught.
Yeah.
How dumb are you?
I've actually softened a little bit on Pete Rose. If you're going to put the steroid guys in, fine. Put Pete Rose in. Just wait till he's dead. He doesn't deserve to enjoy it.
The difference, though, is that the commissioner of baseball wasn't like lying and sweeping everything under the rug with illicit gambling.
This is true.
But
Yes.
Bud
The fact-
Selig
the fact-
tacitly endorsed steroid usage for decades.
Yes, the fact that Bud Selig is in the Hall of Fame and the steroid guys aren't is a travesty.
It's gross.
It's an utter travesty.
Yeah, Bud Selig's
it's
the worst.
It's by far the worst thing about the Hall of Fame.
Next headline for me, speaking of morons, let's go to the NFL. Wide receiver Jordan Addison of the Minnesota Vikings was arrested in California just outside LAX, Los Angeles International Airport, on Friday under suspicion of driving under the influence. I would like to add a couple quick pieces of context to this story. One, Jordan Addison was also cited last offseason going into his rookie year for driving 140 miles an hour in a 55 mile an hour zone. Oh, also 9 days ago, he had a teammate die in a DUI crash. His own teammate died from someone drinking, driving, and crashing into the car he was riding in. And then Jordan Addison went out and was drinking and driving, allegedly.
Can't forget of last December, Vikings OC Wes Phillips was stopped in Minnesota after his blood alcohol was 0.10.
Yeah, no, that also true. Then Jordan Addison today posted on his Instagram a picture of what seemed to be an outdoor. So he was eating somewhere outdoors and with a mimosa in front of him. Hey, man, next time you get a brain cell, maybe don't do that. Maybe just something to consider for the future.
Yeah, that he might be a problem. Like, he might really have a problem.
There have been rumors about, and every time Jordan Addison has come up on this program, it's either been me pounding the table for the Chiefs to draft him or saying, damn it, I hate that the Vikings drafted him. He's an incredible talent. Yes. I really think he's got like number one upside talent as a wide receiver. There have been rumors since he was at Pitt prior to USC that he maybe was not always the sharpest tool in the shed. This is beyond that, though. This is legitimately reckless and dangerous. It's not just you who's at risk. Allegedly, he had fallen asleep in a stalled car on the freeway in Los Angeles. Do you know how dangerous it is, A, to drive in Los Angeles anyway? B, to be stopped in a car asleep? He's lucky he's alive.
Yeah.
Everyone's lucky that they're alive that came in contact with him and his stopped Rolls Royce in the westbound, in a far lane of westbound I-105 in Los Angeles. I mean, just ridiculous. Again, he had a teammate die last week from a DUI crash. And I hope the Vikings do something about this, but NFL history has indicated they probably will do nothing about this.
All right, you got one more headline for us, Spencer?
Yeah, it's official. Bengals receiver T. Higgins will play 2024 under the franchise tag. Monday's deadline for players who received the tag to sign a long-term deal has passed, and he was the lone NFL player. He will be the lone NFL player this year to play on the tag. He signed the franchise tag last month, guaranteeing him $21.816 million this year. He's scheduled to become a free agent next year, and they're likely going to let him walk, with number one receiver Jamar Chase also seeking an extension.
They were probably never going to be able to pay both.
Yeah.
And I think if you believe you're in a championship window, I'm okay with keeping the player and playing the season with the player. I don't think Cincinnati is mishandling this necessarily, but
it's just business.
The problem will be when they let him walk for nothing and then they don't really replace him because they're a cheap front office.
Yeah. No, that they better hope Jermaine Burton is the real deal, the third-round pick out of Alabama, who, by all accounts, along with being talented, I mean, he's a good player, by all accounts had a lot of very large red flags off the field. I don't know what they mean. That's just what all the draft insider guys said going into the draft, which is like, oh, sweet, they're bringing back the 2006 Bengals. That's exciting. But, yeah, he's a good player. He's a really good player. He'll be a number one for someone next year. But it's business, and teams are allowed to do this as long as they have the franchise tag.
You know, they could always make it sell insert advertising name field at Paycor Stadium
to pay for the wide receivers.
Pay for the wide receivers.
That might be what's next. We'll take a break here on 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, we're talking dingers, home run derbies tonight. That's more from the Kansas Drive to Zero studio on 580 Sports Talk. 532 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan, Brendan, Spencer, Trenton. Home run derbies tonight. According to the odds at FanDuel, Pete Alonso is your betting favorite to win the Derby at plus 300. Trenton Craxner told us earlier off the air that he is preying on Pete Alonso's downfall. Is it just in this event, or is this just as a matter of general principle?
I don't know. Dude rubbed me the wrong way. Reminds me of I don't want to get them mixed up. The Contreras that plays for the Cardinals that used to play for the Cubs. William? Yeah.
That's Wilson.
Those two just absolutely rubbed me the wrong way, man. Like,
which is funny because they could not be more opposite.
Yeah,
people.
they feel very different.
Equal opportunity hating, though.
Who? Alonso and Contreras?
Contreras, yeah.
I don't know. They just both rub me the wrong way about how they go about their business. I don't know. But Pete Alonso, give it up, bro. Like, stop being in the home run. I saw a report that said he was only agreed to do the home run derby if he was named an all-star this year, which is why Francisco Lindor and somebody else for the Mets that's having a great year is not an all-star.
Yeah, I had heard that too. I think that I want to say that was Rosenthal. Ken Rosenthal might have reported that. If that's true, that's wild.
I don't think you need to have Pete Alonso to have a well-rated home run derby. Like, the product is the product. I don't need Pete Alonso to want to watch it tonight.
No,
that's bizarre.
Yeah, that's not a guy. Oh man, yeah, it's not like if MJ's doing the dunk contest. I know he's won it twice. Like, give him credit. He does put on a good show, but he's not such a star and such a personality that I'm like, man, this home run derby just doesn't feel the same without Pete Alonso. They could put anybody in the All-Star game in his place instead, and I'd still be interested. Anyway, he's your betting favorite, plus 300 odds to win his third home run derby crown. Gunnar Henderson of the Orioles is plus 380. Bobby Witt Jr. plus 430. Marcelo Ozuna of the Braves plus 450. Adolis Garcia, the hometown favorite from the Rangers, is plus 550. Teoscar Hernandez of the Dodgers, plus 1,200. Jose Ramirez of the Guardians, plus 1,500. Alec Boehm, your long shot, the Wichita State Shocker, plus 2,200 to win it all. So, guys, who's going to win tonight?
Pete Alonso.
I got Bobby Witt Jr.
You know, I'm going to say Adolis Garcia, but I could see Bobby winning it because him and Reese Hines put up some great in the Futures game home run derby they did in like 2019.
Yeah, Bobby won a home run derby as a high schooler, I think.
Against Reese Hines, who's hit like 6 home runs in 6 games for the Reds.
Yeah, he's incredible.
But I'm going to go with the hometown guy. I'm going to go Garcia.
So it's helpful in the home run derby to hit the ball hard. And Bobby Witt Jr.'s got some of the best exit velocities, maybe the best exit velocities of anybody participating in this. I think he's got a great chance. I know it's a bit of a homer lean, but I think Bobby Witt Jr.'s got a hell of a chance to win this thing.
Yes.
And if I put down a dime or two on this, it'll be on Bobby Witt Jr. plus 430 to win the event. The ballpark favors right-handed power more than left-handed power, so that's why I'm iffy on Gunnar Henderson. Obviously, he's having a great year. I'm iffy on him. Alonso is just enough of a psychopath, though, to just like go into a fugue state and hit 46 home runs on 47 pitches.
Per usual, the worst part of the home run derby is going to be like in the middle of Teoscar Hernandez's round. He's halfway through it, and then they switch cameras and show Pete Alonso doing burpees in the tunnels underneath the stadium, like just pounding greenies under there, waiting to get his at-bats in.
The hope here is that this year there are some new rules for how many pitches can be thrown within the time frame. So that's going to slow down the time between ball leaving bat, ball landing, and the next pitch.
Which is good.
Which is good for TV. This has become, unfortunately, the new format has made it more competitive and more compelling in that way. It's also made it a terrible TV product.
Yes.
And that's really unfortunate because, like, say what you will about the old home run derby, it used to take 5 hours, but you would watch all of those home runs that like Josh Hamilton or whoever was hitting, Giancarlo Stanton, and it was an incredible display. And because you would see them all land and you could get a feel for, okay, what it looked like. You were watching the swing and where the baseball landed. And you would get a feel for what it looks like to hit a ball that hard and that far. And with the new format, you just can't keep up. And so hopefully this format does slow things down a little bit, make it a better TV product. That is my hope. I will not be at Globe Life Field tonight, so I don't care what it's like in person. I care what it's like on television. And if it's a good TV product, I'm going to be happy. It's a hard thing to screw up. It's dingers for 3 hours. You'd think it'd be really, really difficult to mess up.
Yeah, but I mean it. If you told me, even without the context of the last few years, it goes so fast you can't tell how many are actually being hit, I would say, okay, yeah, that doesn't sound good.
I hated that part.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how this ends up working. I think the biggest problem was ESPN was just really bad at the presentation.
Yeah, Carl Ravitch does not have the juice that Chris Berman had.
Give me
doing
Chris
this thing.
Berman again.
I never thought I would miss Chris Berman saying, like, I don't know, I hit that ball to Alito. I hit that one to Wichita Falls. Back. I never thought I would miss that. But then Carl Ravitch tried to steal it, and no juice. None. Negative juice.
No, I'm sure Carl Ravitch is a great guy. He's worked at ESPN longer than I've been alive, I think. There's no one worse doing live games right now. There's really no, like Sunday Night Baseball is unlistenable. It has to be on mute for me to be able to watch it. He butchered one of the key home runs in the College World Series final series as well. I think it was the last one Dreiling hit to put Tennessee ahead or to extend Tennessee's lead. He's like fumbling over who the guy standing in right field is as the ball's flying over the fence. I mean, it's just a disaster. And I'm not really looking forward to him being on the call tonight.
No,
Why don't they give us Joe Buck?
Buck doesn't want to. He's come out and said, I don't want to do it anymore.
yeah, he's kind of overdoing baseball. Even like he did one game this year with Chip Carey.
Yeah, he's gonna do another one too.
Another one.
Well, I think that one got rained out. Is what happened.
Oh, is that true?
So
Oh.
I think they rescheduled.
Oh, is that what it is?
I think they had to reschedule.
Yeah, he said he would like to do local baseball, but he said he was over the national thing, which I mean, I get.
I respect.
He spent 25 years doing the World Series, and or whatever, with 23 years, whatever, and every single time you do it, you hear from the opposing fan base, you suck, quit slobbering all over whoever.
Oh, yeah. No, trust me. I'm sure there's Royals fans grumbling under their breath right now. Oh my God, the Madison Bumgarner glazing was out of control in 2014.
Can I give you a take? Because the Royals are good now, so you don't have to just live vicariously through a decade ago. He should have talked about Madison Bumgarner more. We will never see that in baseball ever again.
No, we
will never see that performance ever again.
No, that's a fact.
He should have talked about Madison Bumgarner more than he did.
That's 100% true. What happened in 2014? That's never going to happen again.
Talk about a psycho, Madison Bumgarner.
He had 10-year-old Trenton in shambles.
One of my least favorite players of all time, Madison Bumgarner. I'm so glad he's out of baseball.
The phrase "red ass" was invented just for Madison Bumgarner.
I hated him so much.
I get it.
Divorced from the Royals thing. I did not like him very much at all. So we start with Pete Alonso hating, and we end with Madison Bumgarner hateration. Let's remember some other guys on the other side of this break. Trent is the Quizmaster. We're going to play round 2 of Name That Guy on 580 Sports Talk. High 43 on 580 Sports Talk. We round things out on a Monday. We're bringing back a segment that we had some fun with last Monday. It's a bit of a game show between the three of us here in the studio, Dan, Brennan, and Spencer. Trenton is our quiz master. He has come up with 4 guys, and we are going to try and guess the guy based upon their playing resume, which teams they played for and when. So without any further ado, hit the music, and let's hand it over to our MC, Trenton Craig.
All right, we're going to welcome you back into our new segment of Name That Guy. Our contestants, first off, from the great state of Illinois, Brendan Han Solo Derwinski.
You didn't even say his last name right.
That's fine. Keep it moving.
It's still getting there. I was calling Brendan.
Yeah, that's fair. Where'd Han Solo come from?
I don't know. I just looked up famous people from Chicago and Harrison Ford, and then Han Solo.
All right.
I just kind of try to base it off of where you guys are from.
I'll take it.
Okay.
The other contestant, Dan Rocky Mountain High Lucero,
That's fair.
and the reigning champion, Spencer Thundering Herd Dupuis.
Let's go!
All right, we're all excited. It is time for Name That Guy. We're going to go in the same order we did the first time around. An NFL guy first, then an MLB guy, an NBA guy, and an NHL guy.
All right, first from the National Football League, we got
No peeking, Jim. We're gonna respond as we hear it.
Okay.
the Philadelphia Eagles 2011 to 2012.
Okay.
The Cleveland Browns in 2013. The Indianapolis Colts in 2014. The New England Patriots in 2015 and 2017. The Tennessee Titans in 2018 and 2019. And the New York Giants in 2020.
Well traveled.
Very well traveled.
Okay, you guys can peek now. You can look now.
Yeah.
That is
I have more hints.
interesting.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't think my first thought was Trent Richardson, but he was drafted by the Browns.
Yeah.
He played running back.
Lead running back.
Running back.
Hmm.
Eagles. I should know Eagles running backs.
Yeah, it feels
and
like-
Giants running backs.
Feels like we should know this. Can you give us an alma mater?
Yeah, I'll have to look up his alma mater real quick.
Dang, we got through last week.
Yeah, we
last time
flew through,
real
yeah.
quickly.
But
So-
we also had all day to think about it.
Yeah, we were looking at them last time. This time off the rip. Eagles, Browns, Colts.
He went to the University of Pittsburgh. 5th round draft pick.
5th round draft pick running back.
Oh my god.
What did he do in the? Did he have a good time in the league? Because it doesn't appear like
He was on the Super Bowl 51 team.
with the
For the Patriots?
Yes, with the Patriots.
He's a running
running back
Ah.
with the Pitt that was well
a
traveled.
Pitt running back? No, not him.
Jeez
I don't know,
Louise.
man. I think
Yeah,
we're
I
all
think
stumped.
you've stumped
I
us
think
all.
you've stumped us. Who is the correct answer? What?
Dion Lewis.
I would not
Yeah.
have gotten that.
No, I would not have gotten that either.
Yeah,
Wow. All right.
Yeah, okay. Score one for the Quizmaster.
This is champion's advantage here because if we all tie, Spencer keeps the title, right?
That's
Yeah.
like the right. It's like the Ryder Cup.
All
Yeah.
right.
All right. Get off the screen, guys, and let Trent give us the MLB player.
Major League Baseball.
Dan's definitely.
New York Mets, 1999. Houston Astros, 2000 to 2004. Oakland A's, 2004, 2005. New York Yankees, 2006. Kansas City Royals, 2007. Atlanta Braves, 2007. Chicago White Sox, 2008 to 2009. Pittsburgh Pirates in 2010. And let me go a little bit farther here. White.
Got it.
The Los Angeles Dodgers,
Got it.
2010. Colorado Rockies, 2010. Toronto Blue Jays, 2011. St. Louis Cardinals, 2011. And the Detroit Tigers from 2012 to 2013.
This is Immaculate Grid legend Octavio Dotel.
That
He
is
played
correct.
for 4 minutes in Colorado, and Dan knew it immediately.
I told you before, and I said Dan's gonna get this one.
All right. NBA time.
make sure I get it all out here.
All right.
There's a lot of teams.
Okay.
You got to tell us. so
Tony
we can-
Massenberg.
Yes.
We can keep the.
Memphis Grizzlies, 2002-2003. Orlando Magic, 2003 to 2004. Cleveland Cavaliers, 2004 to 2008. Chicago Bulls, 2008 to 2009. Sacramento Kings in 2009. The San Antonio Spurs in 2009. The Dallas Mavericks, 2009-2010. The Clippers in 2010. The Bucks, 2013 or 2010 to 2013. The Washington Wizards, 2014 to 2016.
Brendan, my least favorite my least favorite Chicago Bull of all time, Drew Gooden.
That is correct.
Drew, I should have known Drew. You know he does color for the Wizards.
I did know that. Yeah. Least favorite Bull of all time. He totally blew me off for an autograph on Jersey Day one time. Tool.
I should have known. Yeah.
My least favorite Jayhawk, by the way, is Cindy Star.
All right. Finally, the hockey player will be the tiebreaker.
All right. If Spencer gets, what if Spencer gets this? And we have a three-way tie.
Then we have a three-way
champion,
tie.
yeah.
Do you don't want you want a bonus Jeffrey like
I
off
don't
the
know if we have
cusp?
time today.
All right, let's see how
All right.
NHL goes first.
The NHL from the Red Wings 1990 to 1994, the Mighty Ducks 94 to 95, the Canucks 95 to 97, Flyers 97 to 98, the Lightning 98 to 99, Panthers 99 to 2000, Senators 2000 to 2001, Blue Jackets 01 to 03, the Coyotes 03 to 04, the Blues 03 to 05, the Predators 05 to 06, and the Islanders 2006 to 2008.
This guy played for everybody.
I'm tapping out. I have no chance.
I don't know. You lost me when he started in the early 90s.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Ray Shepard.
Something called Mike Sillinger.
Never a great sign when the quiz master admits
Yeah.
he's really a random
You
guy.
lost me early 90s. I was not alive.
Yeah, at least I hazarded a guess.
All right, do you have a bonus question loaded up?
Yes.
All
Okay,
right,
all right.
We'll do the bonus.
Bonus
We got
time.
time?
We got time.
All right.
All right, so still, if Spencer gets this, he retains the title.
Okay. That seems fair.
If Dan or I get it, the belt changes hands.
The Boston Celtics. This is an NBA. Boston Celtics 2004 to 2007. Minnesota Timberwolves 2007 to 2010. Utah Jazz 2010 to 2013. Charlotte Bobcats / Hornets 2013 to 2016. And the Indiana Pacers 2016 to 2018. And he played for the Flying Tigers over in China in 2018.
Aaron Brooks.
Aaron Brooks is incorrect.
No, it was the Guangdong Tigers.
Guangdong Tigers. Ni hao.
I'm gonna miss inside.
Gerald Wallace.
That is incorrect.
Spencer, you got a guess?
I got no guess. Tap it out.
Al Jefferson.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
Face of the Hornets for like 3 years. Really good NBA 2K player to play with. Like, he was like the old style big. Kenneth Fareed. Like,
This
I
Kenneth
mean,
Fareed.
the old.
The man of all.
Yes.
Loved Kenneth.
Old
Fareed.
style big.
All right, so
So the
So you two are sharing. The
we
title.
share the crown today,
all right.
Brendan, and Trenton is the real winner for stumping us.
Yeah, man. Who was the NFL player today?
Dion Lewis.
Yeah, that one, man.
Totally forgot he went to Pitt.
Oh, I no clue he went to Pitt.
Anyhow, Trenton, the quizmaster, is the true
Yeah,
champion
well
of
done.
today's round
Jeez.
of Name That Guy, but also the champion, and me and Brendan, we tied with one apiece. Anyway, let's take a break, and we will come back with the final word on this edition of 580 Sports Talk. Wrapping up this edition of 580 Sports Talk with a final word. Brendan, lead us off.
I understand some of the trepidation about how much the Royals gave up in the trade for Hunter Harvey this weekend, but I would posit that this is why it was a positive move. One, a bullpen arm who is not Will Smith. That is very important. That is very good. Or Chris Stratton, for that matter, or a number of other guys who have been stinky buns all year long. So that right there, that is important. Secondly, the fact that you're getting more control, I generally prefer to go with trading for relievers who are going to be rentals because they don't cost as much. Relief pitching is such a volatile thing. So I don't always love gaining extra control, but when you consider how little Harvey has played in his career, okay, I'm willing to accept it. And finally, I understand, oh no, we gave up our second best prospect in the system. What are we doing? All we got back was a reliever. Royals fans, the system stunk, so you're not losing that much value. And secondly, look, you're trying to win now. You are putting together a plan to go and win baseball games right now, to compete for the playoffs and maybe beyond that right now. I appreciate the aggressiveness of JJ Piccolo in this front office. Hopefully it's just the start of things to come for the Royals at the deadline this year, but I'm all in on adding a guy who might be that fireman for this Royals bullpen down the stretch.
Spencer, final word.
Yeah, I agree with the things that Brendan said there. I would like to add, though, I think he was kind of in an interesting spot in Washington where he wanted to probably be a closer, had no shot at it in Washington, has potentially a shot here if things change. But I think it's an interesting trade. I think the Royals obviously didn't have a great farm system to begin with, as Brendan just mentioned. That changed in the draft last night. They got a great player that would have jumped him immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it's kind of a cancel out. But for Washington, they didn't even need a third base prospect. They have one of the top prospects in baseball coming up next year.
Oh, you can never have too many prospects. Remember when Carter Keyboom was the next big thing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You get it. Final word for me is about that prospect that the Royals drafted, the number 6 overall selection in last night's MLB entry draft. Jack Caglione not only becomes the number 1 prospect in the Royals' otherwise barren farm system, but he's one of the most exciting prospects in all of baseball. The upside is so tantalizing. On ESPN last night, they referred to a lot of players drafted as having face of the franchise potential. They referred to Caglione as having face of the league potential. Top of the scale power, the potential to be a 40 home run guy consistently in the bigs. The Royals have never had anybody like this. It's going to be a really easy guy to root for on the way up, and I don't know that it will be too long. I suspect by the end of 2025, we'll see Cags in the bigs with the Royals. That'll do it for 580 Sports Talk today. We're back with you tomorrow from 2 to 6. For Trenton Craxton, Brendan Drzinski, and Spencer Dupuis, I'm Dan Lucero from the Kansas Drive to Zero studio. This has been 580 Sports Talk.